Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto callect 7 Dragon Ball. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by WINDSTORM16 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. I own nothing. Alright. I'm all healed up and ready to head for planet Namek. Thought Son Goku, grinning as all his injuries were now healed thanks to the new batch of senzu beans Yajirobe had brought him. While Goku didn't know it, he is the spitting image of his father, Bardock, with him possessing the same spiky black hairstyle, dark-colored eyes and facial features. However, he has softer eyes, a kind demeanor and a light-skinned complexion from his mother, Jine. With Goku's most distinguishing physical characteristic being his hair. He has 3 bangs hanging to the right of his forehead and 2 bangs hanging to the left. His hair also stands up in the front with 5 spikes and 4 bangs in the back. He also used to have a tail, a trait that his son had inherited as well, that used to get removed but would eventually regrow until Kami finally removed it permanently. Taking off the hospital gown, Goku put on his trademark orange guy with a dark blue undershirt, sash, wristbands and boots. The Saiyan being thankful at being healed and able to finally leave the hospital, but given the news Rashi had given him, he knew he needed to get moving to Namek. Having learned that Vegeta was on Namek with Gohan, Krillin and Bulma, with the former 2 being the only ones that were fully healed from their fight by the time that the repairs and modifications to the Namekian spaceship was finished. Even worse is that others were there, a group called the Frieza Force and their leader, who's even stronger than Vegeta. And if this guy's stronger than Vegeta, along with collecting the Namekian Dragon Balls, then I really need to hurry and get there. Goku thought, about to jump out the window and call the flying Nimbus to take him to the Brief's compound to see if Dr. Briefs has finished the spaceship. And just where do you think you're going? Demanded a female voice, making Goku freeze and slowly turn around to see his wife Chichi just entered the room. Chichi is a beautiful woman with long straight black hair that's tied up in a bun with some strands framing her face, large black eyes and a light skin tone. Her attire was a purple dress that has an orange cloth tied on the top and a yellow sash. Chichi, hi, I was just about to head over to the Brief's compound to see if Bulma's dad finished the spaceship so I can get to Namek. Goku replied, only for Chichi to narrow her eyes at him. Not without me you're not. Gohan is already alone on an alien planet with only Krillin and Bulma. Now I'm hearing Vegeta and more aliens like him are there too. Chichi said, refusing to leave their son alone on Namek where something could happen to him. Absolutely not. From what Master Rashi told me, these guys are dangerous and their leader is much stronger than Vegeta. Well, Gohan will be able to handle himself long enough for me to get there and help them. If you came, it'll just put you in danger, give them someone else they could target. Said Goku, not wanting his wife to be in danger as well, since while he knew she was a strong fighter, Chichi had left the martial arts lifestyle not long after they got married and these guys were out of her league. Only for Chichi scowl and go up to her husband before poking a finger into his chest. I don't care. Do you have any idea how worried I was, learning that you were killed and Gohan was kidnapped for an entire year by Piccolo to be trained to fight those 2 Saiyans, he nearly died, then when you came back, you nearly die again. Now our son is off fighting on an alien planet, well you'll be leaving again, and I just said Chichi starting to get emotional at the idea of her husband or son dying, only this time it'd be permanent if they aren't able to get to the Namekian Dragon Balls, something she didn't want to think about. But Goku flinching, since he hadn't really asked Chichi if she was okay, despite what she must have been going through while knowing he was dead and not knowing where Gohan was. Then Gohan suddenly choosing to go off to Namek despite her protests, now he's leaving too. Chichi, I know a lot's happening, but you can't come. Well, I know you're a strong fighter, these guys aren't like anything we've faced before, even Vegeta was nearly impossible to beat. But me and Gohan can handle ourselves and both of us will come back safely. Said Goku said while putting his hands on her shoulders reassuringly. You promise? Promise that you'll keep Gohan safe and make sure you both come back home, alive? Chichi asked, with the Saiyan nodding in determination. I promise, we'll all make it back. Goku replied, with Chichi looking at him for a few moments before nodding, with being Goku confused when she then went over to lock the door and then the window. Chichi, what are you doing? Goku asked, only for Chichi to push him back down onto the bed and straddle him. Simple Goku, well I'm sure you'll do everything you can to keep your promise. Consider this extra insurance and reminder of what you have waiting for you when you get back. Especially since I had to go through an entire year without you. Said Chichi with a sly look on her face before leaning down and kissing her husband. The action catching Goku off guard for a moment before he began returning the gesture, wrapping his arms around his wife and pulling her close. The Saiyan figuring it wouldn't hurt if he arrived 10, maybe 20 or 30 minutes late. Time skipped 6 days. Mom, seriously I'm fine. Gohan said as Chichi looked him over, having just been teleported back to Earth along with Piccolo, Bulma, Vegeta and the rest of the Namekians, while Goku chose to remain behind to defeat Frieza, even with Namek about to blow up with him still on it. With them all being sad in hand, King Kai informed them that Namek was destroyed and Goku along with it, leaving them no way to revive Goku or Krillin. Due to them having died on Namek and wouldn't end up at Earth's check-in station. Only for Vegeta to be the one to suggest using the Namekian Dragon Balls to wish them to the check-in station and then wish them back to life. Much to the others' happiness that they could revive Goku and Krillin, though Vegeta claimed to only care to know how Goku became a Super Saiyan. Shortly after that, Chichi, Rashi, Yajirobe, Ox King, Oolong and Pure had arrived in a Capsule Corporation jet, with a woman immediately running towards her son to look him over. Gohan. You just came back from an alien planet after facing who knows what kind of threats, you probably even nearly died. And what about your studies? You were reading your books, completing the homework I packed, what about Chichi asked rapidly, only to suddenly feel dizzy and nauseous. Mom, are you sure that you shouldn't be the one being asked if they're alright? Questioned Gohan while looking at his mother in worry when she started swaying. I'm fine sweetheart, just a little die, said Chichi, only to cover her mouth and run over to some bushes before she started throwing up, making Gohan even more worried as he ran up to his mother. Mom, Dend. Gohan exclaimed before calling out to his Namekian friend, with Dend quickly flying over. Here, let me help. Dend said, having Chichi lie down before putting his hands over her to heal her. I'm fine, really I must have had something that upset my stomach. Chichi said, assuring them she's fine, only for Dend to frown in confusion when he moved his hands over her stomach. I'm not sure. I can sense something inside of your stomach, I think it's alive. It could be some form of parasite. Dend said, not sure what it was before seeing the shocked looks on Chichi's and Gohan's faces. Mom? Gohan said, looking at his mother and surprised, having not expected this when he returned. Are you sure? Chichi asked while putting a hand over her stomach. Not really, human and Saiyan biology is pretty different from Namekian. But whatever the thing is, it looks like it's feeding off the nutrients in your bodies, probably to help it grow or something. I'm not sure if I'd be able to use my healing to get rid of it. Replied Dend. No. Don't get rid of it. Chichi said while putting her hands over her stomach protectively, surprising the Namekian at her sudden action before he looked up at Piccolo when he put a hand on his shoulder. It's not a parasite or anything harmful, Dend. You can't tell given how Namekians reproduce, but Chichi's actually pregnant. Said Piccolo, much to everyone's shock at hearing this, before Bulma soon grinned brightly and ran up to Chichi. Ooh, congratulations Chichi. Bulma said, happy that she's going to have another baby, with Chichi soon smiling. It looks like you're going to be a big brother soon, Gohan. Chichi said to her son, with Gohan soon smiling in excitement. A big brother alright. Said Gohan, excited at the idea of having a little brother-sister. And another grandchild, Ox King said with wide eyes, before falling backwards in a dead faint that he'd be getting another grandchild. Well that's certainly a surprise. I'm sure that when we wish Goku back, he'll be excited at the chance to know he'll be a father again. Said Rashi, happy for his old student and his wife. With them soon contacting King Kai, wanting to tell the rest of their friends on Earth and in Otherworld the good news. While Vegeta leaned against a tree with a surprised look on his face, before looking at Chichi in intrigue at this new development. Another half Saiyan. Vegeta thought, thinking on how there will soon be another Saiyan in the universe, especially with the potential the child will have as a Saiyan-human hybrid. Time skipped 2 months. Vegeta stood on top of a tree, looking down at the sun residence with narrowed eyes. Watching as Ox King, Dend, Muri, Gohan, as well as Bulma and her parents help Chichi get everything ready for when the baby arrives. With them still needing to wait 3 more months until they could use the Namekian Dragon's balls to bring Goku and Krillin to the check-in station and revive them. Then waiting another 4 months to revive the Earthlings that died when he and Nappa attacked. Though the Saiyan Prince's attention had soon shifted to the child now growing in Chichi, a new Saiyan. Hopefully one that has a true Saiyan spirit, unlike Kakarot and his other whelp. Thought Vegeta, hoping the child will act like a true Saiyan rather than a human, one that'd be able to help him conquer the universe with Frieza now dead. What do you want, Namekian? Vegeta demanded, while looking behind after sensing Piccolo, seeing the Namekian looking at him with narrowed. I don't even need to read your mind to know what you're thinking, Vegeta. And I'll only say this once, if you try anything with that kid, then Gohan and I will personally revoke the second chance you got from Shenron. Said Piccolo, refusing to let Vegeta try anything with the baby, while the Saiyan merely smirked at him. Is that a challenge, Namekian? And do you really think you or Kakarot's whelp stand a chance against me? In case you forgot, you couldn't even stand up against Nappa, let alone me. And while you may have gotten stronger since then, so have I, even more so with my death and revival. So do you truly believe you could stop me from doing whatever I want? Questioned Vegeta, only for Piccolo's expression to not falter once. You wanna know something, a year ago I was no different than you. I hated Goku and wanted to kill him so I could take over this planet, like my father before me. Yet when I challenged Goku years ago, despite being stronger than him while knowing what he was capable of, I still lost before he even knew he was a Saiyan or became as strong as he is now. Even when we worked together against Raditz, I fully intended to resume our struggle until I spent a year training his son to defeat you and your partner, then use his power to help take over the Earth. That's when I began learning just why I couldn't beat Goku, why I never would have been able to. Piccolo said while looking at the Sun residence, with Vegeta looking at him in intrigue. For Goku, fighting is everything. He doesn't fight for revenge, to kill, or anything, he fights merely to test himself and grow stronger. Yet at the same time, he's someone you doubt could even hurt a fly. And that's what makes Goku who he is, the only person he seeks to surpass is himself, while having those that he would die to protect and keep safe. That's why I shielded Gohan before, why I fought Frieza without hesitation, I wasn't fighting for myself. I was fighting to protect someone I care about. Just like Gohan will do against you if you try anything against his sibling, and like I'll do again if go after my friends. Said Piccolo while looking at Vegeta before turning around and flying away, with the Saiyan prince watching him leave with a frown. Before Vegeta looked back at the Sun residence, now having a thoughtful expression on his face before he scowled in annoyance and flew back to the Brief's compound, his temporary residence while on Earth. Though he couldn't help but ponder on Piccolo's words, wondering if that's truly where Goku gained his strength from, by having those he would protect. Time skip 1 month. Piccolo dodged a punch from Gohan before slamming his leg into his student's chest, knocking him through the air. With the half Saiyan managing to catch himself before flying right towards his mentor as they began trading blows. I'm actually impressed, you have a fire in you that you didn't have before. Even more so, with how Chi-Chi's allowing you to keep training. Piccolo stated, given that ever since returning from Namek, Gohan's actually asked to continue his training, something he didn't expect given he didn't like fighting, only to see a new fire burning in his protege. Mom and I made an agreement, she'll let me train as long as I don't fall behind in my studies. Replied Gohan before managing to see an opening and delivered an uppercut to Piccolo's face, knocking the Namekian up into the air before he appeared above Piccolo and slammed his heel into his back, sending him plummeting towards the ground. With Piccolo being able to stop himself before he could hit the ground, then raising his arm to block the shoulder strike from Gohan. And knowing that I'm going to have a younger sibling I want to train to be someone they can look up to, as well as someone that can protect them. Gohan said to his father figure and surrogate uncle, wanting to be someone his younger sibling looked up to and knew would keep them safe, with Piccolo smiling slightly at his words. Then you made a good choice. However, said Piccolo before suddenly vanishing and reappearing behind Gohan, slamming his fist into the back of his head and sending him flying through the air before crashing through a plateau. If you want to reach that level, then be prepared since the real training starts now. Hey. Piccolo said before giving out a shout as he powered up, with Gohan flying through the plateau and giving a shout of his own as he powered up before they charged each other again. Brief's compound. Meanwhile, Bulma was in her lab, working on some new inventions. Though the scientist was having trouble concentrating due to Vegeta currently pacing around her lab. The Saiyan having been muttering to himself since he walked in, leaving Bulma unable to concentrate. For the love Kami, what is your problem now? Bulma demanded after finally having enough. The child, woman. The Saiyan child Kakarot's maid is carrying. That and the damned Namekian keep getting in my head. Claiming Kakarot is as strong as he is because he fights to protect you humans. Shouted Vegeta, having been unable to focus or think clearly with the news of the Saiyan child Chi-Chi is carrying, and then what Piccolo said to him. Seriously, that's what you're thinking about? Bulma exclaimed in disbelief. Yes. Vegeta retorted, making the brunette groan in annoyance. Then before Vegeta could react, Bulma grabbed him by the back of his armor and dragged him over to a chair and pushed him into it. How dare, said Vegeta, only to be silenced when Bulma put a finger in his face. Zip it, Mr. Prince of all Saiyans. I'm talking and you're going to sit and listen, got it, Bulma said, with Vegeta surprisingly falling silent at her words. Okay, now I've known Goku way before anyone else did. We met when he was still a kid, living alone on Mount Paozu after his grandpa Gohan died. I was tracking down the Dragon Balls after learning about them and that they could grant any wish. At first, I tried getting Goku to give me the Dragon Ball, but when that failed we became traveling partners and it was definitely an experience. Goku was also pretty ignorant, hell, he didn't even know what a girl was when he met me. But he was still a kind-hearted kid, willing to help complete strangers just because he could. It was something you could admire, he didn't know anything about the rest of the world, but when he saw someone in trouble he wouldn't hesitate to help them. It made me glad that I got the chance to meet him and become his friend, as well as getting to see who he's become now. said Bulma while smiling at remembering all the adventures they went on, even if they got into a lot of trouble and dangerous situations along the way. He also has a way of helping bring out the best in people and putting them on the right path. When we first met Yamcha, he was just a bandit in the desert. Tien and Chiaotzu had been enemies from a rival martial arts school when we met them. Now they're some of our closest friends who were willing to fight against you and Nappa, even if it meant dying. Look at Piccolo, a year ago he was our greatest enemy until you showed up, now he's training Gohan and is basically a second father to him. Bulma said, with Vegeta crossing his arms with an annoyed look on his face. I fail to see the point of all this, said Vegeta before gritting his teeth when Bulma stomped on his foot. No interruptions. And the point is that Goku doesn't just fight to protect his friends and family, they're also what makes him strong. He may enjoy fighting strong opponents to push himself to grow stronger, but when it comes down to it, Goku knows when to get serious. That's what all of us do, we look out for each other and help when we can. Like how Gohan, Krillin and Yajirobe did against you, how Goku helped against the Ginyu Force, and when Piccolo helped buy Goku time against Frieza. We don't fight for ourselves, we fight for our friends, our families, and our home, said Bulma, making the Saiyan prince frown as she went back over to her work. Also, if you're just going to pace around and brood, then do it in the atrium and let me work, Bulma said, wanting to be able to finish her work in peace. You dare to order a Saiyan prince, Vegeta demanded, only for Bulma to look at him with narrowed eyes before marching up to him. Yeah, I dare. Because here in my lab, I'm the damn queen. You wanna stay, then you'll do so quietly or else no dragon alive will fix what I do to you. Is that clear, retorted Bulma while poking Vegeta in the chest in emphasis, only to be shocked when Vegeta grabbed her hand with a smirk. Really, and what will you do if I don't? Vegeta asked rhetorically before pushing Bulma to her desk. My, aren't we feisty? Bulma asked as she started to get turned on by how rough Vegeta was being to her. What can I say, woman? We Saiyans just love strong women, Vegeta said with a chuckle before Bulma wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him into a heated makeout session as they stated to lose control of themselves from the spike in hormones from their current predicament. First, my name is Bulma, not woman. And luckily for you, I just so happen to like strong men, Bulma said after they broke the kiss before they engaged in another one. Before they knew it, Bulma's clothes and Vegeta's armor was tossed across the lab as it was filled with the sounds of heated pants, moaning and groaning, as well as the sound of skin slapped together. Though despite how much he was enjoying the fling they were having, as well as how it helped him relax and relieve the stress he was feeling from everything that was going on and what he was told. His prior discussion with Bulma only gave Vegeta more to think about and contemplate. Time skipped 2 months. 2 months had passed, with everyone being shocked after learning that Bulma was now pregnant as well, and with Vegeta's child no less. With her assuring them that it was just a one-night stand where their hormones just got the better of them. Though despite that, she did wish to keep the baby, with Vegeta surprisingly being in full agreement. The Namekian Dragon Balls having finally regenerated, allowing everyone to make their first 3 wishes on them, with everyone gathered outside the brief's compound. So, what are the 3 wishes you want granted first? Dend asked, given they have a lot of people they want to revive. We want to bring Krillin and my dad to Earth's check-in station, then revive both of them. After that, we'll wait until the Dragon Balls are restored to revive Tien, Chiaotzu and Yamcha, replied Gohan while glancing nervously at his mother, who was showing more signs of pregnancy, including the mood swings. Something that Gohan hoped his father would be able to help with, as the half Saiyan was honestly pretty scared of his mother when she's like this, never knowing what could set her off. Dend nodded at this before turning towards the Namekian Dragon Balls, holding out his hands to them as the young Namekian began chanting. With the Dragon Balls glowing brightly before shooting up from them was Purunga. I am Purunga, the Dragon of Dreams, state your wishes, and I shall grant them, said Purunga, with Den speaking in the Namekian language, asking him to bring Goku's and Krillin's souls to Earth's check-in station, with Purunga's eyes glowing as he granted the wish. The one called Krillin has been brought to the check-in station of Earth. However, I cannot bring the one called Goku, Purunga said, much to their confusion and shock. What do you mean you can't? Demanded Chi-Chi, glaring up to the dragon, making the others slowly back away from the pregnant woman. Bring my husband to the fucking check-in station, or so help me I'll turn you into a pair of dragon skin boots, Chi-Chi shouted, with even Purunga sweating nervously at her anger. I cannot do that. The one called Goku is still alive, to grant your wish would end in his death, something I cannot do, Purunga revealed, shocking everyone again. Wait, Goku's still alive, Bulma said before smiling that Goku was still alive, along with everyone else, that Goku had survived Namek's destruction. Oh well, that's very kind of you, thank you for not killing Goku, Chi-Chi said, suddenly smiling and happy to know her husband wasn't dead. That's great. Then we can wish Krillin back to life and just wish Dad back here. Then let's start with reviving Krillin first. said Gohan, with Den nodding before looking at Purunga and wishing for Krillin to be revived, with Purunga's eyes glowing before Krillin suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Hawa? Krillin said as he looked around in shock, not sure what just happened. Welcome back, Krillin. Gohan said while smiling at his friend along with everyone else. I'm alive again, whoa Chichi, you're, said Krillin when he noticed Chichi's expanded stomach, shocked to see she's pregnant. Yes, a lot's happened while you and the others were gone, Krillin. And we were just about to wish Goku back as well. Rashi said, surprising Krillin again that Goku wasn't already here, but is glad he'll be brought back as well. But then looking up at Purunga and speaking again, wishing for Goku to be brought back to Earth, with the dragon's eyes glowing only for them to suddenly stop. I cannot bring the one called Goku back to Earth. He wishes to return on his own. Said Purunga, much to everyone's confusion. What do you, Gohan asked, only to be interrupted by Chichi. What the fuck did you just say? Chichi shouted as her temper fully exploded at hearing Goku was refusing to be brought back. Who here can contact King Kai? Demanded Chichi while glaring at everyone, with them all being too nervous to speak. Why you wanted to talk? King Kai asked nervously, after hearing his name being called. Yes. Get me my husband now. Chichi said, with King Kai not hesitating to reach out to Goku's location and connect to him. Goku? Answer me now, it's an emergency. King Kai said while getting through to his student. Huh? King Kai. Why are you, Goku asked in confusion at suddenly being contacted by King Kai. Goku? Who the hell do you think you are? Refusing to let this stupid dragon bring you home, you think this is some fucking game, Chichi shouted, scaring Goku at hearing how angry she was. Chichi. I swear, it's not anything bad, I just wanted to get home myself, said Goku, only for Chichi to interrupt him again. I don't give a fuck about what you want to do. What you are going to do is let the dragon bring you home, right now. If you don't, so help me when you come back I'll chop off your nutsack and hang it on our front door, like one of those lion door knockers rich people have. Do you understand me, Son Goku? Yelled Chichi, with all the guys unconsciously covering their crotches in fear, while even the Namekians were terrified at her anger and threat. Wish me back, wish me back, wish me back. Do it quickly. Goku said in terror at Chichi's threat. Yeah, then I think he'll let himself be wished back now. And dad don't take what mom said seriously, she's just going through some mood swings, right? Cause she's pregnant. Said Gohan, much to Goku's shock at hearing this. What? You're pregnant, Chichi said Goku, not expecting that. Yes, I'm pregnant. And you're trying to get out of being here to see our son being born. Chichi said, having recently learned the gender of their baby, happy that they'd be having a second son, with Gohan being happy to learn he's having a baby brother. No. I wouldn't that, I swear, I just didn't think that would happen. I would have let Purunga bring me back the first time, if I knew. I'm really sorry if it seemed like that. Said Goku, his mood now turning serious and somber at the end. Yardrat. While on the planet Yardrat, where Goku had landed after managing to escape Namek in one of the Jinyu's pods, with the Saiyan look to his teacher Pabara. Pabara is a light blue Yardrat that is usually seen larger than other Yardrats due to his gigantification. Unlike the others of his kind, Pabara has 2 whiskers, along with 2 pointed tips at the top of his head, as opposed to the one like the other Yardrats. Sorry Pabara, I guess we need to cut my training short. Goku said, having been learning the Yardrat spirit control technique, but knew he couldn't stay and finish his training if Chichi's pregnant. It's fine Goku, you have much more important duties back on your planet. Besides, I'm sure we can continue your training remotely through King Kai. Replied Pabara, knowing it'd be more important for Goku to be present during the birth of his son than finishing his training. He's right Goku. Now go be with your family and worry about training later. King Kai said, with Goku nodding as he felt Purunga summoning him back to Earth, this time letting the dragon do so. Earth. Reappearing in front of everyone, with Purunga vanishing at having granted 3 wishes, everyone smiled happily at seeing that Goku had returned. With Goku looking at Chichi, surprised to see how far along she already was in her pregnancy. Chichi, I'm really sorry if it seemed like I didn't care. I really didn't know, if I did I would have let Purunga bring me back the first time. Said Goku, making Chichi smile at her husband. It's fine, what matters is that you're back now. But I'm such a terrible wife. Chichi said before she suddenly started crying at the end. You wanted to come back on your own, and I forced you to come back through a stupid wish. Not even caring if you were doing something important, what kind of wife am I to do that to my husband? Cried Chichi as her mood swings kept affecting her. Hey easy, you're not a terrible wife, you're a really great one and an even better mom. And there's nothing more important than being here right now. Said Goku while pull her into a comforting hug. So, it's a boy, huh? You guys think of any names yet? Krillin asked while looking at Gohan. Yeah, we've actually thought of Naruto, since mom's really been craving ramen with lots of Narutomaki on it. And it seemed like a pretty good name. Replied Gohan, making the former monk laugh slightly at the choice. That sounds like a name Goku would pick. Said Krillin, knowing how much his friend loved food, it wouldn't be surprising if he named one of his kids after a food he liked. Yeah, he probably would. Gohan said in agreement before laughing along with the others. Hey, I'm not that bad. Goku said with a frown. Yes, you are. Stated Bulma with a deadpan expression, getting Goku's attention with him noticing that she was pregnant as well, much to his shock. Well, you too, Bulma, what happened when I was gone and does Yamcha know about this? Goku asked, with Bulma gaining a solemn smile. Yeah, ended up having a fling with Vegeta after a moment where we lost control of ourselves. And Yamcha does know, I told him through King Kai, not long after I learned that I was pregnant. Well, he was understanding, it led to us deciding to end things between us due to how awkward it would be for us to still be together after what happened. Bulma said, and while it was hard, the blow was somewhat softened with how their relationship was a rather shaky one, with how they were constantly on and off. Especially when looking back at it, their relationship was more out of convenience and physical attraction. With Bulma having lost out on wishing for the perfect boyfriend or a lifetime supply of strawberries with the Dragon Balls, well, she was the only girl that Yamcha could talk to without freezing up and freaking out. Not really a basis for a long-lasting and healthy relationship. Still, I'm sorry to hear that given how close the two of you were when you were together. Goku stated, knowing how rocky their relationship could be, they were rather close when they were able to move past their problems. Don't be Goku, deep down, me and Bulma knew that things probably wouldn't work out between us in the end. Besides, today is supposed to be a happy one, so don't let it be ruined on our account. Yamcha said through King Kai, with Bulma nodding in agreement. With that, everyone traded their farewells before taking off and going their separate ways. 5 months. After wishing back Goku and Krillin, everyone waited another 4 months before they could wish back Tien, Chiaotzu, and Yamcha. With Goku and Krillin having also started helping make preparations for when the baby arrives. With Dend having also offered to help for when Chi-Chi's due date arrived, given his healing abilities would help make things a lot easier. With young Namekian having also been taught what he'd need to do in delivering children when the time arrived. But the date arriving a month after Tien, Chiaotzu, and Yamcha were brought back, with Chi-Chi's due date arriving in October. Something that somewhat worried everyone with how it took 10 months, rather than the usual 9. Leading Chi-Chi to be brought to the Briefs compound after her water broke, with everyone heading over there after learning the news. Taking her to the infirmary, where Dend, Dr. Briefs and Panchi were helping her through the birthing process, along with Goku, Gohan and Ox King being present. Bulma would have helped as well, but she was currently 7 months into her own pregnancy, with it being discovered that she'll be having a girl and needed to take things easy. But the birth going much smoother than expected, thanks to Den's healing abilities, which Goku was also thankful for after Chi-Chi was crushing his hand. Wow, he's really tiny, just like Gohan was. Goku said while looking at his newborn son in Chi-Chi's arms, with everyone else having been brought in once the birthing had ended. Yeah, he is small. Said Gohan, not expecting him to be this small. Well, I think he's adorable, especially with these cute little birthmarks. You look like a cute little fox, Naruto. Chi-Chi cooed while looking at her baby, seeing he had spiky black hair and 3 unique whisker marks on his cheeks, along with having a tail sticking out of his tailbone. Look at the little guy, I bet he'll be big and strong just like his parents and his grandpa. Ox King said while smiling at his second grandson, though was a little disappointed he didn't get to suggest any names for him. Congrats Goku. Krillin said while smiling at his friend, happy for him and his family. He's a cute little guy, ain't he? Hey there kiddo, I'm a real close friend of your dad's. Said Yamcha while leaning in and grinning at Naruto, causing the sleeping baby's eyes to open, revealing their blue color looking straight at the former bandit. Yamcha, I don't think that's a good Rashi said to his student, not sure he should be that close to the baby, before Yamcha cried out as his head was thrown back. Ah. He just headbutted me. Yamcha said, having not expected the sudden attack, with everyone looking at Naruto in surprise, while the newborn giggled happily at what he just did. I guess he's already taking after his Saiyan side. Stated Tien with a small smirk, seeing the kid is going to grow up to be a tough one if he can already do that. The others nodding in agreement while Chi-Chi, Goku, Gohan and Ox King smiled at meeting the newest member of their family. With all of them hoping that nothing crazy will happen that could end ruining their new peace. So, what did you think? Good. Yep, we see this takes place after the Saiyan attack, with Goku about to head off for Namek before Chi-Chi arrives, and one thing leads to another, as after 6 days when everyone's wished to Earth it's discovered Chi-Chi is pregnant, much to everyone's happiness. But Vegeta also being intrigued at learning there will be another half Saiyan, and as this is before his redemption, he's mainly concerned if he'll act like a true Saiyan and be used to take over the universe, leading to Piccolo confronting him and using his own talk no jutsu on the Saiyan prince. We also see Gohan's gotten his own fire inside to keep training, wanting to become someone his sibling can look up to and knows will protect him, along with Bulma talking to Vegeta as well, which also leads to them having a fling much earlier and Bulma getting pregnant, but this time with a girl first, rather than a boy. So we'll be seeing Bra first before Trunks, but don't worry, we'll still be seeing Trunks. Then the time comes to wish back Krillin and Goku, with Goku this time letting himself be wished back after Chi-Chi's mood swings scare him enough to agree, along with learning she's pregnant and wanting to see his second son being born. Finally we see another time skip with Yamcha, Tien, and Chiaotzu being wished back and Chi-Chi giving birth to Naruto, who's also already showing he's taken after his Saiyan side. So, review if you liked, go away if you didn't. I own nothing. 3 people were whimper in fear as they were surrounded by what they could only guess were demons, who suddenly showed up and attacked their town, killing everyone. With the demons laughing the entire time, enjoying the fear and despair coming from the humans. Please stay away from us. We didn't do anything. One of the people begged. We never said you did. Said one of the demons with a smirk, none of them needing a reason to attack or kill humans, before they immediately cut the humans down without hesitation. The 4 demons then stepped aside and bowed to their leader Garlic Jr. Garlic Jr. is a small turquoise alien with pointy ears and green spots above his head. He wears a burly robe with a white hood and a button under his cloak. Underneath his robe, he is dressed in a black cassock with a gold-colored castle emblem on a red background with a light blue line on the side of the background. Underneath the cassock, he wears black pants and blue shoes. Ah, in the darkness they have taken wing, never to return again. Garlic Jr. said while looking up at the ruins of what was once his castle, angered at the sight of it and that humans had settled around it in his absence. This only reminding Garlic Jr. of his defeat at the hands of Goku, Piccolo, and the former's brat of his son Gohan. Having been so close to finally defeating Kami after wishing for immortality with the Dragon Balls, then take his place as guardian so he could rule the earth. Only for his plans to be ruined when he was thrown into the dark endless abyss of the dead zone where his immortality became a curse. As he was unable to die, simply being stuck floating in the empty abyss for years. It was only due to the Makyo star, the source of his power, drawing closer to Earth that he was able to escape the dead zone. Something Garlic Jr. knew was incredibly lucky, given the Makyo star only appeared every 5,000 years. If he'd been trapped after it had already passed by, then he's sure he would have eventually gone insane and been unable to even think of escaping. After escaping, he'd also gained some new followers in the form of the Spice Boys, members of the demon clan on the Makyo star that consist of the leader Spice, Vinegar, Mustard and Salt. Now he could get his revenge for his imprisonment and finally take his place as guardian, and this time he had a plan to ensure no one would be able to stop him. And how kind of Kami to keep the tool of my victory safe on the lookout. Let's go. Garlic Jr. said as he and the Spice Boys teleported away to the lookout. The lookout. Meanwhile on the lookout, Mr. Popo was watering the flowers while Kami stood close to the edge overlooking the earth with a contemplative frown on his face. Having felt that something has begun changing ever since Goku's and Chi-Chi's second son, Naruto, had been born. Along with another half Saiyan soon to be born in the form of Vegeta's and Bulma's daughter. I've been feeling something strange since then. As if there's been a shift in the world, if not the universe as a whole. I wonder just what new developments will thing bring. Thought Kami, given everything that happened when Goku first went out into the world as a child, then when the Saiyans first arrived, now he feels something greater may be coming. The Guardian could only hope that the Z fighters will be capable of handling any future threats that may, and most likely will, show up. Though Kami was soon pulled from his thoughts as his eyes widened when he suddenly sensed 4 signatures appear on the lookout. Then before either he or Mr. Popo could react, the Spice Boys appeared and began destroying the lookout, much to their shock. Mr. Popo? Quickly, get out of here and alert the other. Kami said, rushing at the Spice Boys to hold them off long enough for Mr. Popo to escape. Why yes Kami. Said Mr. Popo said before summoning his magic carpet and was about to fly away to tell the Z fighters they were under attack. And where do you think you're going? Vinegar said as he and Mustard appeared in front of Popo, stopping him. The fun's just beginning. Added Mustard before the 2 demons shot their energy web at the genie, ensnaring and paralyzing him. I can't move. Popo said finding that his entire body was paralyzed, with this distracting Kami long enough for Spice and Salt to trap him in their energy web as well. My, you certainly have gotten slow in your old age, Kami. Stated Garlic Jr. as he stepped out from inside the lookout, making Kami's and Popo's eyes widen at seeing him. And no, that's impossible, you were trapped within the dead zone. Kami said, not believing Garlic Jr. had managed to escape. Yes, I was, but thanks to the arrival of the Makyo star, I have returned. Now, time for you to experience what it's like to be trapped. Garlic Jr. said before throwing his hands out in front of him, firing off rings of energy at Kami and Popo, causing them both to shrink down until they were miniature. With Garlic Jr. then summoning the two over to him while pulling out two glass jars, which Kami and Popo flew inside before they were sealed shut. Ah, look at you both, poor Mr. Popo and Kami, helpless and trapped at my mercy. But don't worry, I won't kill you too, not yet anyway, first I want you to witness my triumph as I become this world's new guardian and ruler. But first I'm taking back something else you stole, my father's black water mist. Said Garlic Jr., causing Kami's eyes to widen at hearing this. No. You can't unleash the black water mist, you'll turn everyone on Earth into demons. Kami shouted, knowing that could destroy the Earth, even worse what would happen if it affected Goku and Vegeta with the power they both had. I know. Be honored Kami, you'll get a front row seat to watching this become a world of demons. Garlic Jr. said with a mad grin before he and the Spice Boys entered the lookout to locate the black water mist. Soon finding it in a room filled with pots and vases, Garlic Jr. mentally laughing at how Kami didn't even try to hide it as he grabbed the black vase. Blasting the top with his magic, Garlic Jr. grinned as it opened up and black mist began pouring out of the vase. When people breathe this mist, any evil tendencies that they're resisting take control of their character. They become mad with a desire for wealth and material pleasure to the point of wanting to kill each other for it. And they'll all be under my total control. Garlic Jr. declared, laughing wickedly while knowing he'll soon have everyone on Earth under his control. With Goku and Gohan. Back on Earth, Goku and Gohan were currently catching some fish for dinner, the father-son duo also trying to see which of them could catch more fish than the other. Ha. I'm pretty sure I've already beaten you, Dad. Gohan said while looking at his pile of fish, seeing he's gotten a lot more than his father, only to hear Goku come out of the water, making him turn around before his eyes widened. I don't know Gohan, I think I've won this round. Said Goku with a large grin while carrying a large amount of fish which he threw into his pile, making it nearly double the size of Gohan's own, making the half Saiyan lower his head. Oh man, I really thought I had you. Said Gohan, making Goku chuckle and pat him on the head. Don't worry, I've just had more experience in catching fish. I'm sure you'll get better, especially with how you're building up your speed and strength during training. Goku said, making Gohan smile and nod before both of them heard footsteps approaching and saw Krillin, who was wearing a white suit with a matching fedora and a red tie. Yo. How's it going guys? Krillin said with a smirk on his face. Krillin, great to see you again. Said Gohan while smiling at his friend and training partner. Yeah, it's been a while. But what's with the outfit? Goku asked, confused at his friend's clothes, given he usually wore his turtle school guy. You like it? And that's not all that's new. Krillin said before looking to a red sports car where a beautiful blue-haired woman stepped out with Goku and Gohan, almost mistaking her for Bulma from her hair color and style. Krillin. Are these your friends you told me about? The woman asked while looking at the two Saiyans, with Krillin nodding and smiling at the woman. Yep, these are them. Goku, Gohan, I'd like you to meet my G-girlfriend Marin. Marin, these are my friends Goku and his son Gohan. Introduced Krillin, still feeling a little shy and insecure about actually calling Marin his girlfriend. But after seeing how happy Goku and Chi-Chi were when Naruto was born, then the fact Bulma was having a daughter with Vegeta of all people, Krillin wanted to try getting a girlfriend himself. Which meant he also had to acknowledge that Marin is his girlfriend rather than saying she's just a friend. Wow, good for you buddy. Nice to meet you Marin. Goku said, happy for his friend. He's the one from space right, Krillin. Said Marin while looking at the former monk, having heard some of the adventures he's went on and about his friends. Yeah, that's right. Krillin replied before looking at his friends. Anyway, we also stopped by to see if you wanted to come with us to a party at Kame House, everyone's gonna be there, except Bulma for obvious reasons. Said Krillin, knowing Bulma's been staying at Capsule Corporation and getting things ready for her own baby. I'm not sure if we'd be able to come. We'd have to ask Chi-Chi first. Goku replied since while Chi-Chi started lightening up on them in regard to training, she started getting stricter again when it came to Naruto. Yeah, mom kind of needs all the help she can get with Naruto. Added Gohan as even only being a few months old, Naruto was proving to really be a wild child and taking after his Saiyan side, something that resulted in him getting into a lot of trouble. Oh, well, that's fine. We'll see you there if you can make it. Krillin said, nodding in understanding before he and Marin took their leave, while Goku and Gohan got dressed before collecting the fish they caught before flying home. Arriving back home, Goku and Gohan saw Chi-Chi running around and seemed to be looking for something. Hey mom, we're back and we got lots of fish. Gohan said to his mother. We also ran into Krillin, who's got himself a girlfriend. Though he also invited me and Gohan to party over at Kame House. Would it be alright if we went? Asked Goku. Absolutely not. Neither of you have time to waste going to some party. Now help me find Naruto. Said Chichi while trying to find where her second son could have gone off to, with her words making both Saiyans worried. What happened to him? Gohan asked, worried about where his brother could have gone. I looked away for just a second, but when I looked back he was gone. I already searched the entire house but he wasn't inside, so he must have somehow been able to get outside. Now he could have ended up who knows where. Chichi said, worried for where Naruto could be right now, while Goku and Gohan became more worried hearing this. Don't worry, we'll find him. Me and Gohan can fly around since he couldn't have gotten that far just by crawling away. Said Goku, with Gohan nodding in agreement before the two flew up into the air to try and find where Naruto could have gone off to. But Vegeta. Meanwhile at Capsule Corporation, Vegeta was training in a recreated version of the spaceship Goku arrived on Namek in. The Saiyan Prince having wanted to use it after learning how Goku trained under increased gravity in it. Vegeta having already set it to much higher gravity to grow stronger much faster, especially after he talked with Goku about how he became a Super Saiyan. Flashback. Accurate. Vegeta said, getting Goku's attention from his training. Huh? Oh hey Vegeta, did you need something? Said Goku with a friendly smile, though still regarded the other Saiyan warily, as well he wasn't really an enemy anymore, that also didn't mean he was really on their side either. Yes, tell me how you became a Super Saiyan, what kind of training could you have completed to let you achieve such power? Demanded Vegeta while narrowing his eyes at Goku. How I became Super Saiyan? Well, I did train at 100 times normal gravity on my way to Namek, so that may have helped. But what really made me transform was when Frieza killed Krillin, that just made me mad, like really mad. I didn't realize it at the time, but during my time on Yardrat, I also realized that the reason I transformed was because it came from a need. Goku said, making Vegeta frown in annoyance. I need. Vegeta said, with the other Saiyan nodding in response. Yeah, the power comes in response to a need, not a desire. When I first heard about Frieza, all I wanted was to try fighting him after hearing how powerful he was, but after he killed Krillin that want became a need. I didn't just want to fight Frieza, I needed to beat him, I needed to make him pay all the lives he ruined and the people he killed, I needed to do everything I could to take him down. Then I just transformed. Explained Goku. A need, that's all you needed to become a Super Saiyan, a need, well I needed to kill Frieza as well, I needed to show him that I was far stronger than he could ever hope to become, I needed to avenge my planet and race. Vegeta said, getting angry since he had grown much stronger since he first went to Earth and Namek while having a lot of needs to fulfill, yet he never turned into a Super Saiyan. That's not a need Vegeta. Those are things you want and desire. A need is when that's all you can focus on at the moment, nothing else matters, except that you'd do anything to see it was fulfilled, while not caring what you had to do or the consequences. Simply being driven by a single primal instinct to achieve your goal. Goku said, which only made Vegeta scowl in annoyance before flying off to return to his training. Then flashback. Dodging some blasts from the drones, Vegeta blasted them before flaring his power and giving a loud shout. Pushing his power beyond anything he has before to try and transform into a Super Saiyan. I need to become a Super Saiyan, I need to show everyone I am the strongest in the universe, I need to prove I am the most powerful Saiyan, I need to surpass Kakarot. I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it. Vegeta thought while gritting his teeth as he pushed himself even further. Vegeta shouted loudly as his Kai flared around him until he was forced to stop before he ended up destroying the ship. Looking at himself, Vegeta scowled in annoyance when he saw that his Kai hadn't even flickered to gold, nor had he felt himself grow more powerful. Damn it. Vegeta cursed while punching the wall and leaving a large dent, not believing he still can't turn into a Super Saiyan, even with all the training he's been doing the past few months. Exiting the ship, Vegeta returned to the main building and went to the bathroom to take a shower, wondering what he was doing wrong, if he needed to further increase his training to transform. Once he was done in the shower, the Saiyan got out before choosing to put on regular street clothes as opposed to his armor. Needing time to clear his head and think more on how he can become a Super Saiyan. Though on his way out, Vegeta stopped when he saw Bulma coming towards him, the brunette also taking notice of the Saiyan prince. And look who finally decided to come outside. Here I thought you were planning to move into the ship. Bulma said with a deadpan expression, given how much time he spends in there. I do come out, it's not my fault if you never seem to notice, woman. Retorted Vegeta with a smirk, knowing she got annoyed at being called that, while Bulma's eye twitched. You know it'd be smart to be nice to the person that built that ship and can just as easily deactivate the gravity chamber. Said Bulma with her own smirk as Vegeta's smirk vanished. You wouldn't. Vegeta said while narrowing his eyes at her. Wouldn't I? I've studied the ship's blueprints and know how everything works. I could have a remote built in just a few hours to manually shut off the gravity chamber whenever I want. Bulma said confidently, making the Saiyan scowl in annoyance before smirking and crossing his arms. Well, it's good to know my child Saiyan blood is influencing you positively, woman. Stated Vegeta, only for Bulma to scoff. Yeah, right. If anything, she's simply going to be taking after her awesome mom. Isn't that right, Bulla? Bulma said while rubbing her stomach affectionately. What? Bulla, Vegeta exclaimed, having not heard anything about a name already being decided. Yep, that's the name I decided on, a cute name for a cute girl. Replied Bulma while smiling at her daughter's name. Absolutely not. She will have a traditional Saiyan name, befitting of a Saiyan princess. Her name will be Esheld. Said Vegeta with a smirk, knowing it'll be the perfect name for his daughter. Do you want to name our daughter after an onion? Bulma demanded, suddenly getting extremely angry, making Vegeta look at her warily upon seeing her mood swings were acting up. She is not being named after some vegetable, fruit, or anything else. Her name is going to Bulla, you got that, Spiky? Said Bulma while glaring darkly at Vegeta. She is my child and I have the right to decide her name. Vegeta retorted stubbornly, wanting his first child to be given a proper Saiyan name. And I'm the one who's been carrying her the past 7 months and then have to push her out. And if you cared about her name, maybe you should have come out when I was thinking of different names for her, but you didn't. So I got to choose Bulla and that's final. You don't like it, too bad. Bulma said, with the Saiyan scowling. Fine. Her name can be Bulla. Vegeta muttered reluctantly, seeing it'd be pointless to try arguing with her while she's like this, with Bulma immediately smiling brightly. Great. I knew you'd come around to the name, it'll be perfect for her. Bulma said before suddenly glaring daggers at Vegeta. And how is your training going anyway? Did you break the ship again? Questioned Bulma. No, I didn't break the ship, it's still in perfectly working order. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to clear my head. Vegeta said before walking past Bulma to go fly around the city. Okay. Though one more thing, if it's fine with you, then Eshlet can be Bulla's middle name. Said Bulma since she was Vegeta's daughter as well, making the Saiyan pause for a moment. That's acceptable. Replied Vegeta before quickly leaving and flying off, with Bulma smiling before looking at her stomach. Your daddy can be a serious grouch. Bulma said before going back to what she was doing. While with Vegeta, after exiting Capsule Corporation and taking off into the air, he felt some satisfaction that his daughter will still have a Saiyan name of her own. Before his mind turned to the other new half-Saiyan. If the boy has the same potential as Kakarot and his brother, then in the future he may also become a Super Saiyan, perhaps even stronger than Kakarot with how powerful the other half-breed is. Thought Vegeta, having seen several times how powerful Goku and Gohan are, so he knew that Naruto also had plenty of potential, while possibly being able to surpass both his father and brother. Vegeta then thought about his conversations with Piccolo and Bulma, how Goku is strong by having those he died to protect, and that they're all strong by helping each other. The Saiyan Prince still having his doubts that any of that was true. HMPH, even if by some chance it is, my daughter won't need such foolish ideals. She'll be far stronger than any of them will realize. With my power and training combined her mother's mind, she'll show everyone the true power of a Saiyan. Thought Vegeta with a smirk while knowing that Bulla will be incredibly powerful and intelligent with who her parents are, with potentially only Naruto being able to give her a proper challenge. Though the Saiyan then frowned at where his mind was going and quickly shook his head, not liking that he seemed to be going soft since he came to this planet. Only to suddenly be pulled from his thoughts at the sudden sound of a baby laughing. Before spotting Naruto flying through the air while being chased by a pterosaur, the young infant unaware of the danger and simply thinking it was playing with him, even as the dinosaur kept trying to bite at him. How fortunate, something to hit. Vegeta stated with a smirk before he suddenly blitzed a pterosaur, sending the dinosaur flying away with a kick as he then grabbed Naruto and flew down to the forest below. Where is that idiot Kakarot and the other boy? Vegeta said while looking around for Goku or Gohan, only to not see or sense them anywhere, before soon realizing just why that is. Given how neither of them could be considered average Saiyans, they likely didn't know that Saiyan children are capable of flight as infants. Making the Saiyan Prince shake his head before suddenly feeling something biting his hand. Seeing that Naruto somehow managed to escape his grasp and was now biting his fingers, something that Vegeta would normally be angry at. But instead, he merely smirked in amusement while lifting his arm up, making Naruto look at him for a moment before returning to trying to bite his fingers off. At least you have a true Saiyan spirit, unlike your father and brother. Vegeta said, glad to see that Naruto had a Saiyan's natural instinct to fight and attack, only to catch sight of something moving in the air. Looking up, Vegeta narrowed his eyes when he saw a large amount of black mist moving through the air. Unable to tell what it was, but knew whatever it is, it wasn't good. making him quickly grab Naruto and cover his mouth while holding his breath, doubting it'd be good if either of them breathed in the mist before taking off back to Capsule Corporation. Quickly arriving and landing in front of the main building, Vegeta ran inside, getting the attention of the receptionist. "You. Tell everyone to shut this building down now, there's a black mist in the air and it's coming here right now," Vegeta said quickly, startling the receptionist before she quickly nodded. "Right away," replied the receptionist before pressed a button under the counter, activating the security system, causing all the windows and doors to be sealed shut before making an announcement over the intercom, telling everyone to remain inside and head for the designated shelters, along with putting the air vents on full power to remove any impurities in the air. With this also getting the attention of Bulma and her parents as they came running down to the reception area. "Vegeta, what's going on? And why do you have Naruto with you?" Bulma asked upon seeing that Vegeta was holding Naruto. The boy likely flew away without Kakarot or the rest of his family noticing, none of them being aware Saiyan children can instinctively fly as infants. "I found him before he could get eaten by a flying reptile, only to see some black mist in the air. Something I doubt would be good if we breathed it in," said Vegeta, surprising them at hearing this. "The black mist? Well, let's see what it's doing," Dr. Bree said before turning on a TV and going to the news to find out what effect this black mist was having on everyone. Only to be shocked at seeing a broadcast of people attacking each other, breaking into stores to steal things and money, everyone acting like they've gone completely insane. "Oh my," Panchi said in shock, something the others had to agree with, not knowing what else to say at the sight. But Goku and Gohan. Meanwhile, Goku and Gohan were flying through the air, still trying to search for where Naruto could have gotten to before both of them also took notice of the black mist in the air. Dad, what's that?" Gohan asked, with Goku frowning at the mist, sensing something strange about it. "I'm not sure, but whatever it is, we better not get near it. Down there," Goku said while looking around before spotting a river they could dive into. Changing direction, Goku and Gohan dived into the river, remaining underwater while looking up as the black mist spread out more and more. The two exchanging a look, seeing that whatever the stuff was, it definitely wasn't anything good with how much of it there was. Waiting several moments until the mist passed, the Saiyans flew out of the water, panting slightly from how long they held their breath before looking around to see if there was more of the black mist. "I don't know what that stuff was, but whatever it is, I don't think it's good for anyone who breathes it in," stated Goku, with Gohan nodding in agreement. "Yeah, we should," Gohan said, only to suddenly tense when he sensed something coming from Kame House, with Goku sensing the same thing before their eyes widened upon realizing that Krillin and Marin were in danger. "Come on," Goku said as he took off flying straight towards Kame House, with Gohan taking off immediately after and following his father. The two soon arriving at Kame House, where they were greeted to the shocking sight of Krillin and Marin being attacked by Yamcha, Master Roshi, Oolong, Pure, and the Spice Boys. "Krillin, Marin," shouted Gohan before flying down and slamming his foot into Salt's head while firing a Kai blast at Spice, with Goku rushing Vinegar and Mustard before appearing between the two demons and blasting both of them. Gohan. "Man, are we glad you guys are here and not infected like everyone else," Krillin said while kicking Roshi away when he started getting too close, not wanting to really hurt any of them. "Infected? You mean that black mist?" Goku said as he and Gohan landed beside Krillin and Marin, knocking their infected friends away. "Yeah, me and Marin managed to avoid getting infected by being underwater. Then when we got back to the surface, everyone was like this and started attacking us before those guys showed up and seemed to be the ones responsible. And to keep things short, they call themselves the Spice Boys and their work for Garlic Jr. who's back from the dead zone. These infected everyone on the planet with something called the Black Water Mist, and apparently the only way to cure everyone is with the sacred water on the lookout where Garlic Jr. is right now," explained Krillin, having heard everything from the Spice Boys, none of them really feeling the need to hide their plan, given the belief they'd likely be infected soon as well. "That's right, human, and soon enough you'll all be joining your little friends as Garlic Jr.'s slaves," said Spice with a smirk on his face. "Not gonna happen. Gohan, you take those two, I'll take the big guys. Krillin, can you handle the others?" Goku said, with Gohan and Krillin nodding, while the half Saiyan rushed Spice and Salt. "I'll do my best, just hurry, Goku," Krillin replied, with the Saiyan nodding before flying towards Vinegar and Mustard. "We have you now, Saiyan," shouted Mustard as he and Vinegar shot their energy web at Goku, only to be surprised when Goku vanished in a burst of speed. Reappearing behind the two demons, Goku slammed his elbow down on Mustard's head before grabbing him in a headlock. Spinning around the demon to smash his feet into Vinegar's chest, followed by throwing Mustard at him. "Masenko, ha!" Gohan shouted, firing a Masenko at Spice and Salt. "Surprise blast!" said Salt, shooting a red energy beam that collided against Gohan's attack, while Spice rushed towards Gohan as his hair grew very long and went to wrap around the half Saiyan. Only for the two to be surprised when Gohan managed to forcefully redirect the colliding attacks right into Spice, making the demon cry out at the attacks hitting him. With Gohan using the opening to charge Salt and deliver a spin kick to his head, sending him flying through the air. Looking back at Krillin and Marin, the two Saiyans knew they needed to get them out of here quickly, along with getting to the lookout where they can deal with Garlic Jr. and save everyone. Before they were forced to get out of the way as the Spice Boys rushed them again. Luckily though, help soon arrived as Goku, Gohan, and Krillin sensed Piccolo quickly approaching their position, soon arriving above the Spice Boys. Explosive demon wave. Piccolo shouted, firing a Kai blast at the Spice Boys, blowing them away before he charged forward and landed on the island, stretching out his arm to knock away all the infected. Piccolo. Gohan said, happy to see Piccolo hadn't been infected as well. There's no time to waste. All of you get the lookout now, I'll hold them off. Said Piccolo with Goku, Gohan and Krillin all nodding, with the former monk picking up his girlfriend before they quickly made their way towards the lookout. The trio soon arriving at Korin's tower, where they were greeted by Yajirobe and Korin. Goku, Gohan, Krillin. Good to see you three haven't been infected like the rest of the world. Korin said, relieved that they're safe. Yeah, Piccolo's alright too, but right now he's buying us some time to deal with Garlic Jr. and fix this. Replied Goku, with Krillin setting Marin down before looking at Korin and Yajirobe. Can you guys look after Marin until we get back? Krillin asked, not wanting her to get hurt by being on the lookout. We'll make sure she's safe, you guys just go make sure Garlic Jr. doesn't do anything else to the world. Yajirobe said, making Krillin nod in thanks. Thanks guys. We'll be back soon Marin, so don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Krillin said, with Marin nodding with a smile. Okay, stay safe Krillin. Said Marin while kissing him in the cheek before he, Goku and Gohan flew up to the lookout. The three being greeted with Garlic Jr. waiting for them while holding the glass jars containing Kami and Popo. Ah, so nice of you to join me Goku, his little brat, and the annoying bald one. Garlic Jr. said with a smirk, pleased at the chance to personally get his revenge. We already beat you last time Garlic Jr. and now we're much stronger than before. Let Kami and Mr. Popo go now, then stop what you're doing. Goku said as he, Gohan, and Krillin got into their stances while the immortal merely chuckled lowly. Oh, you seem to misunderstand the situation here Goku. You're not the only one that grew stronger, I have as well thanks to the Makyo star drawing out my dormant power, with everyone now under my control. Including your Namekian friend, now. Said Garlic Jr. as the Spice Boys appeared, with the trio being shocked to see they were also holding a now infected Piccolo, who was snarling and growling. Here's a choice for you three now, either die by my hand or die at your rabid friend's hand. Garlic Jr. said with a wicked smirk while Goku, Gohan and Krillin scowled, none of them sure what to do next. So, what did you think, good? Yep, we see Garlic Jr. and the Spice Boys on Earth before attacking the lookout, capturing and imprisoning Kami and Mr. Popo before unleashing the black water mist. Then we see Goku and Gohan fishing together, then meeting Krillin and his new girlfriend Marin, with Krillin inviting them to the party at Kame House, only for Chi-Chi to refuse to let them go, needing them to help her find Naruto. Before we see Vegeta training to become a Super Saiyan, having learned how Goku became one, only to fail much to his annoyance before showering and meeting Bulma, learning she decided to name their daughter Bulla, much to his protest, but was willing to compromise initial it being her middle name. But Vegeta then encountering Naruto being chased by a pterodactyl, which he takes care of before seeing the black water mist in the air, leading him to take Naruto back to Capsule Corporation and having the compound sealed off before and the Breeze family see what's happening to the rest of the world. Then we see Goku and Gohan also seeing the black water mist, managing to avoid being infected before flying to Kame House after sensing Krillin and Marin in danger, finding them being attacked by their infected friends and the Spice Boys, leading to a fight until Piccolo arrives giving them the opening to head to the lookout while leaving Marin with Korin and Yajirobe. Only for them to arrive to see Piccolo has been infected as well. So, for those that like the story, thanks for your support. For those that don't or at least don't like the direction taken, you're more than welcome to drop the story. But thanks for giving the story a chance anyway. I own nothing. After seeing the effect the black mist was having on anyone who breathed it in, before then hearing the infected people outside attacking the barrier around Capsule Corporation, trying to break in. Leading Vegeta to guide the Brie family and Naruto to a shelter in the compound before the infected could get inside. With them soon reaching the shelter, where the Saiyan Prince ushers them inside. All of you stay here, I'll deal with those trying to break in. Vegeta said while handing Naruto to Bulma to look after the half Saiyan. I can help. I have some stuff in my lab I can use to make something to restrain the infected people. said Bulma, not wanting to just stay locked in a room, especially since her friends could be infected as well, only for Vegeta to shake his head. Absolutely not. And don't even think of trying to leave this room either. You'll stay here and make sure nothing happens to our daughter. Vegeta retorted, not wanting Bulma to try doing anything that could end in Bulma getting hurt, surprising the brunette slightly at his concern before nodding. Fine, I'll stay here. But you better be careful. Bulma said, with Vegeta merely nodding before closing the door and went to deal with the infected humans. Rushing back to the entrance, Vegeta saw some of the infected humans had managed to get through the barrier around the compound and broke into the building. Not wasting a moment, Vegeta swung his hand through the air at them, unleashing a Kai wave that obliterated all of them before they could take another step. But the Saiyan Prince then sending a blast at the entrance, causing it to collapse and block the doors, keeping out any more of the infected. Seeing they wouldn't be able to get in through the front, Vegeta flew outside and saw more infected people trying to break in through the other entrances and even the windows they could reach. Vanishing in a burst of speed, Vegeta began taking down the other infected humans before sending them flying into the air and out of the compound or vaporizing them with Kai blasts. With them soon taking notice of the Saiyan and were trying to reach him, gathering up into a large group beneath Vegeta. Smirking at the sight, Vegeta flew straight down while crushing several of the infected beneath him before giving a loud shout and unleashing a burst of Kai from his body. The blast incinerating nearly all of the infected humans around him while those that remained began backing off, their baser instinct telling them they were against a superior opponent. I've been wiping out entire planets since I was a child, most of them inhabited by beings far stronger than you humans. The only thing you are is practice. Vegeta stated with a smirking as he raised his hand to blast them again, with the infected growling and snarling before they charged at the Saiyan again. But before they could reach him and before Vegeta could vaporize them, they were incapacitated and restrained by several Namekian warriors. With Vegeta frowning at the sight and lowered his hand before looking at Dend and Muri when they arrived. The two Namekians looking around at those he'd already killed. You couldn't try to restrain them. Did you really have to kill these people when they aren't in control of themselves? Dan said with a frown at seeing how many people died, only for the Saiyan to scoff and cross his arms. If you have a way to cure them, then by all means be my guest. Retorted Vegeta while motioning to the infected humans that are being bound and restrained, making Muri and Den sigh. Seeing that despite showing signs of changing, it hasn't curbed his ruthlessness and bloodthirstiness, making them glad they arrived when they did. Then perhaps you'd have a better time going after the source of that mist that caused this. From what we could sense, it seems to be coming from the location known as the Lookout, where the Earth's guardian is. Though we aren't sure who is responsible, it may be best if you deal with them while we restrain these people, given our physiology makes us immune to the mist. Uri said, with Vegeta nodding since it wouldn't matter how many he took out if whoever caused this wasn't stopped. Fine, I'll deal with them. But do be aware that the woman and her family, along with Kakarot's second offspring, are inside in a sealed room. And if anything happens to them, I'll kill you all then wish you back to life just so I can kill you again. Threatened Vegeta before taking off towards the Lookout. Unaware of the smile his words got from Dend and Muri, even if the Saiyan himself wasn't aware of what he just said or the meaning they held. Before the two went to assist the other Namekians in finding and restraining all those infected by the mist. The Lookout. Meanwhile, up on the lookout Goku, Gohan and Krillin were going against the Spice Boys and the infected Piccolo. Piccolo. Come on, snap out of it. Goku said while holding Piccolo back from trying to bite him before slamming his foot into the Namekian's chest, sending him crashing down into the lookout. Before Goku then had to duck under a punch from Vinegar, along with blocking a kick from Mustard, the Saiyan giving a shout as he released a Kai blast from his body, knocking them away. With him then vanishing in a burst of speed, appearing behind Mustard and Spin kicking him away. Repeating the attack on Vinegar, sending them both crashing into each other. Goku then rushed both of the Machians, throwing his leg out and kicking Mustard in the head before slamming his fist into Vinegar's face. With him then getting between the two and crossed his arms before throwing them out. Spirit shot. Said Goku, unleashing a powerful force that threw them both through the air, with the Saiyan then charging up two Kai spheres. Twin Kamehameha. Goku shouted while firing both spheres at Vinegar and Mustard, the two not having time to dodge before the attack slammed into them and exploded. Though the two managed to fly out of the explosions, being able to survive, but were heavily injured as the both of them glared at Goku before charging him. While Gohan and Krillin were dealing with Salt and Spice, the half-Saiyan blocking a punch from Spice, gritting his teeth from the power behind the punch. Though took the chance to fire a Kai blast at him, only to be surprised when Spice managed to avoid the attack and get behind him. With Gohan suddenly finding himself restrained by Spice's hair. Surprise blast. Said Salt, holding his hands out with his fingers stretched out before firing a red Kai blast at Gohan. Kamehameha. Krillin shouted while firing a Kamehameha at the Kai Blast before it could hit Gohan, causing both attacks to explode. With Krillin then bending the Kamehameha, causing it to suddenly curve around and strike Spice in the back, something he hadn't been expecting. Allowing Gohan to break free from his hair before taking the chance to deliver a kick to Spice's head, knocking him away before raising his hands above his head. "Masenko, ha!" said Gohan while firing a Kai Blast at Spice that sent him flying through the air, with the Makian crying out at the point-blank blast. This giving Gohan and Krillin time to regroup before rushing Salt and double-teaming him, with the Makian having no chance to get away or try attacking. Only for them to be forced back when Piccolo rushed them, with neither of the two wanting to risk getting infected as well. This led to the two splitting up when Salt and Piccolo rushed them, with the infected Namekian going after Gohan. "Sorry Piccolo," Gohan said before quickly diving under Piccolo once he was close enough and tried grabbing the half Saiyan. With Gohan then flying right back up, slamming his knee into Piccolo's chin, knocking his back as he then began throwing a barrage of punches and kicks at Piccolo. Before ending it by flipping and smashing his heel into the Namekian's back, sending him plummeting back down to the lookout. But Gohan then held his hands up like he was about to fire a Masenko, but kept charging it until a Kai ball was formed. "Masenden," said Gohan before throwing it right at Piccolo when he was close enough, the Namekian not having time to dodge as the attack slammed into him, sending him crashing into the lookout as the sphere exploded around him. Back with Krillin, the former monk was dodging Salt's attacks before he moved back and fired a Kai Blast at Salt when he went to pursue him. With the sudden blast forcing the Makian to retreat and get out of the way, giving Krillin time to put some distance between them. The martial artist immediately flying up into the sky until he was in front of the sun, while seeing that Salt was chasing after him again. "Solar flare," Krillin said once Salt was close enough, raising his hands to his forehead, causing a blinding flash of light to emit behind him, with Salt crying out and covering his eyes at the bright light. Seeing his chance, Krillin raised his hand up and began charging two reddish-orange Kai spheres. "Double Tsubikiden," said Krillin before firing the spheres as Kai waves at Salt, the Makian having no time to dodge as the attack slammed into him and vaporized his body. Meanwhile, Goku was dodging Mustard's and Vinegar's attacks, the two having not let up in their assault or giving the Saiyan a chance to retaliate. Until he managed to grab hold of Vinegar's leg when he threw a kick at him, before Goku then used an invisible eye blast on Mustard, unleashing a shockwave that knocked the Makian back through the air. Goku then pulled Vinegar in close, slamming his elbow into his chest and knocking the wind out of the alien before spinning him around. Doing this a few times before throwing Vinegar right at Mustard, who'd recovered from the previous hit and charged the Saiyan, only being stopped when his teammate was thrown at him. With Goku then appearing above them in a burst of speed and slammed his clasped hands down on Mustard's back, sending them both falling back towards the ground. "Kamehameha," Goku shouted while firing the powerful Kai Blast at the two Makians, with neither of them getting a chance to dodge as the attack collided against them as their bodies were broken down until not even dust was left. The three of the Spice Boys dealt with, Goku, Gohan and Krillin flew back down to the lookout to deal with Garlic Jr. Only to see Spice had recovered from Gohan's Masenko, while Piccolo had also recovered and was snarling at them. "You may have defeated Salt, Vinegar and Mustard. But I am stronger than all three of them and now you'll get to experience my power," Spice said as he began powering up, only to be stopped by Garlic Jr. Now Spice, there's no need for that. Not when we still have their little friend that they won't risk injuring. And it would be so much more enjoyable to have them be forced to fight Piccolo," Garlic Jr. said with a smirk, with Spice smirking as well and nodded in agreement. Only for the two to frown when they saw Piccolo suddenly freeze before he immediately turned around and fired a Kai Blast from his mouth at the two. The attack from their slave shocked the two Makians before they quickly got out of the way. But saw that Piccolo hadn't been aiming at them, he had instead blasted the bottles, freeing Kami and Mr. Popo. "Quickly Mr. Popo," Kami said while rushing into the lookout to get the sacred water, the only thing that'd be able to undo the effects of the black water mist, and they didn't have long before the effects became permanent. "No," shouted Garlic Jr., enraged that the two were now freed and trying to stop his plans before he gagged as Piccolo extended his arm and grabbed by his throat. "Now that was enjoyable," Piccolo stated with a smirk as he swung Garlic Jr. around and slammed him into Spice when he charged an Namekian to free his master, sending them skidding across the lookout. "What the hell? How'd you break free Piccolo?" Krillin asked as he, Goku and Gohan ran over to the Namekian. "I was never controlled to begin with, our physiology makes us immune to the black water mist. But I needed to pretend I was under their control so I could get close enough to free Kami and Mr. Popo," said Piccolo, much to their surprise before they turned to Garlic Jr. and Spice as they got up, glaring murderously at the Z fighters. only for them to start feeling their power growing, making them look up only to smirk wickedly at seeing a red light in the sky, showing the Makyo star had grown close to the earth. You may have freed those two relics, but soon none of you will be alive to see me kill them. Garlic Jr. shouted before and Spice both began growing larger, tearing through their clothes, with the fighters also sensing their power was rapidly growing as well. Then before they could react, Spice appeared behind them before grabbing Gohan and Krillin by their heads and slamming them into the ground, cracking it open. Before he then flew into the air with the half Saiyan and former monk in his grasp. Gohan. Krillin. Goku said in worry before he was about to fly after them, along with Piccolo, only for them to be stopped by Garlic Jr., the immortal Machian backhanded the Namekian, sending him crashing through a pillar. Death impact! Shouted Garlic Jr. before firing a powerful point-blank Kai wave at Goku from his belly, the attack crashing right into the Saiyan and sending him flying off the lookout. With Goku managing to catch himself in midair before rushing back to the lookout, only for Garlic Jr. to suddenly appear in front of him, burying his fist into Goku's stomach. The punch making Goku gag in pain before he was sent crashing through a pillar by a spin kick from Garlic Jr. Well, Piccolo had gotten up from his previous hit and flew right at the Machian. Scatter shot. Piccolo yelled while charging up a Kai sphere in each hand before unleashing a barrage of Kai spheres at Garlic Jr., each of the spheres exploding on impact. Only for Garlic Jr. to fly out of the smoke and punched Piccolo in the face before quickly getting behind the Namekian and slammed his elbow into his back. Before getting in front of him again and backhanded Piccolo towards the lookout, finishing it by flying after Piccolo and grabbing him by the neck before slamming him into the lookout. Was that supposed to hurt Namekian? Garlic Jr. taunted before stomping on Piccolo's back, making the Namekian grit his teeth. What the hell is going on, old man? Piccolo mentally demanded, feeling his strength was being drained and could sense the same from Kami. Apologies Piccolo, my predecessors aren't as eager to save the earth as we are. Said Kami as he and Popo had been able to get the sacred water, but now had to deal with the spirits of the previous guardians, preventing them from being able to release it out into the world. Just hurry. Piccolo mentally shouted before grunting when Garlic Jr. grabbed him by his leg and swing him around, slamming him into Goku when the Saiyan tried attacking him from behind. Gohan and Krillin weren't having much luck with Spice either, the Machian having slammed them against each other in the air, which did give them a chance to get some distance from him. Only for any of their attacks to not have any effect against Spice. Destructo Disc. Krillin shouted while forming a Destructo Disc before throwing it at Spice, followed by making several other discs he threw at the Machian. With Spice merely laughing at the Destructo Discs before unleashing a Kai blast at them, destroying the discs before continuing on towards Krillin and Gohan. The two quickly flying up to avoid getting hit by the blast, with Gohan charging towards Spice. Sugar ignition. Said Spice, charging up two Kai spheres before firing them as Kai waves at Gohan. Double Masenko. Shouted Gohan firing two Kai waves that collided against Spice's own attacks, the half Saiyan gritting his teeth as he poured more Kai into the attack to overpower the Machians, only for Spice to laugh as his attack began pushing Gohan's back. Only for him to look at Krillin as he flew up behind Gohan and held his hands up to his forehead. Solar flare. Krillin yelled, releasing a blinding flash of light, making Spice grunt and close his eyes at the sudden light, giving Gohan the chance to overpower his attacks as his double Masenko slammed into him. Seeing they managed to hit Spice, Gohan and Krillin rushed the Machian and began rapidly attacking him, throwing several punches and kicks at Spice. Before Gohan slammed his fist into Spice's face, sending him flying through the air with Krillin speeding ahead of him and smashing a dropkick into his stomach. Sending him crashing down towards the ground before he and Gohan cupped their hands behind them. Kamehameha. Gohan and Krillin shouted firing two Kamehamehas at Spice, pouring all their power into the blasts. Though the two soon gasped in pain when Spice charged right through the Kai blasts, delivering a double area to their necks. Neither of the two able to react as Spice flew them straight towards the lookout before slamming them both through several pillars, ending it by smashing them into the ground. With Goku and Piccolo soon appearing as they were sent crashing into the lookout by Garlic Jr. Before standing up shakily, refusing to give up while Garlic Jr. and Spice floated beside each other. They're quite stubborn master, you'd think they'd have given up against the superior species. Spice stated upon seeing that even now they refuse to give up. Yes, the only way insects will learn their place is by annihilating them. Said Garlic Jr. as he began gathering his Kai, with Spice doing the same as the two prepared to unleash a Kai blast to kill the Z fighters. Though before they could fire their attacks, they were knocked back by a large fireball slamming into them, burning the two Machians with Garlic Jr. immediately healing. Causing everyone to look to see who threw the attack, only to see Vegeta flying in the air. You're right, the only way insects learn their place is by being annihilated. And right now, the only insects I see are you two. Vegeta said before vanishing in a burst of speed and reappearing right in front of Spice. The Saiyan prince smashing his fist into the Machian's face, sending Spice flying away from the lookout and back towards the ground. With him ducking under a strike from Garlic Jr. before retaliating with a spin kick that knocked him into the lookout. "I'll leave this one for you Kakarot, the other one is mine," said Vegeta before flying after Spice to deal with him. "Worthless monkey." Garlic Jr. shouted while firing a Kai blast at Vegeta in anger at the interruption and the attack. Only for his aim to be ruined when Piccolo extended his arm and grabbed the immortal Machian by his throat, throwing him up into the air. With Goku flying up after Garlic Jr., getting above him before immediately dropping down and slamming his feet into his chest. The double kick sending Garlic Jr. crashing back towards the lookout where Gohan and Krillin got beneath him. Scattering bullet. Krillin shouted while firing a slow-moving Kai ball into the air before throwing his hands down, causing it to disperse into several smaller and faster Kai blasts that slammed into Garlic Jr. Gohan charged his fist up with Kai before flying straight at Garlic Jr. and smashed his fist into his chest, sending the immortal Machian flying back up into the air. With Goku cupping his hands behind him while Piccolo held his index and middle finger up to his forehead. "Hami hami hami hi 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 hi." Goku shouted while firing a much larger Kamehameha at Garlic Jr. "Special beam cannon," yelled Piccolo while firing two Kai beams at Garlic Jr., one being straight and the other coiling and spiraling around the second. The two attacks colliding against Garlic Jr., with the special beam cannon also drilling right through his body. With Garlic Jr. gritting his teeth before giving a loud shout and unleashing a Kai blast from his body that dispersed the two attacks while his injuries were healed. Then before any of them could react, Garlic Jr. appeared in front of Goku and buried his fist in the Saiyan's stomach, knocking the wind out of him. Before he then grabbed Goku by his head and flew down to the lookout, using the Saiyan as a battering ram and slammed him through several pillars. With Garlic Jr. slamming him through one last pillar before smashing Goku into the ground, then picking up the pillar and slammed it down on top of Goku. The immortal Machian then grabbed Piccolo's arm when he extended it towards him, yanking the Namekian in close before smashing his fist into Piccolo's face while slamming him into the ground hard enough to shake the entire lookout. Gohan and Krillin rushed Garlic Jr., only for him to use Piccolo as a club and slammed him into the two before charging at the half Saiyan and former monk. Grabbing them both by their collars, Garlic Jr. slammed them into each other before smashing them into the ground. With Garlic Jr. then grabbing them in one hand and Piccolo in the other, throwing all three into the air. "Death impact." Garlic Jr. shouted while firing a massive Kai wave at the three that enveloped them until he stopped his attack after a few moments as the trio hit the ground, barely able to move. "Piccolo, what happened?" said Kami in worry as he suddenly felt himself grow incredibly weak, making the battle of wills against the deceased guardians even harder. "Hurry," Piccolo thought weakly as he tried standing up, only to collapse to the ground. "Gohan. Krillin. Piccolo." Goku shouted in worry for his friends and son as he tried throwing the pillar off of him, only to grunt in pain when Garlic Jr. jumped on top of it, crushing the Saiyan. "Just give up, Saiyan. Your friends are defeated and soon this entire world will be mine. Surrender and I'll let you live the rest of your miserable life as my slave, otherwise I'll make you watch as I kill everyone you love." Garlic Jr. said wickedly as he created a Kai ball in his hand and aimed it at Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo. The sight making Goku's eyes widen before they narrowed and he grit his teeth, feeling his power start growing, just like when Frieza had killed Krillin. Before with a loud shout, Goku's body exploded with power as his Kai flared around him before it soon transformed into a golden color. While the Saiyan's hair spiked up and his eyes turned turquoise. But the eruption of power throwing Garlic Jr. back and destroying the pillar, pinning Goku down as he stood up and glared at Garlic Jr., who was shocked at the sudden transformation. But Vegeta. Meanwhile, Vegeta was battling against Spice, who was proving to be a tougher challenge than the Saiyan Prince anticipated. Only for them to stop as they suddenly felt a surge of power from the lookout, with Vegeta smirking as he sensed it was Goku and knew what had happened. What is this power?" Spice said in shock, not expecting to feel such power, only to hear Vegeta laugh darkly and turn back to the Saiyan. "This is a power that an insect like you could never hope to achieve. I'm sure you must have heard of the legend of the Super Saiyan," said Vegeta, making the Machian scowl. "Of course I've heard of it. A silly little story you monkeys created too," Spice said, only stop as his eyes widened in realization before he started becoming truly scared and concerned since the start of the fight. "That's right, this is a power only a Saiyan could hope to reach, a power Kakarot will show your pathetic master. But for you wouldn't be worthy of experiencing such might," taunted Vegeta, which made Spice scowl again as he regained his nerve. "You don't scare me, monkey." And with his immortality and the Makio star empowering him, Master Garlic Jr. can handle some mythological relic. Spice retorted, only to see the Saiyan Prince smirk maliciously. "Is that so? Vegeta asked before appearing in front of Spice with a Kai orb in his hand, which he slammed into the Machian's chest, sending him flying into the air from the blast. "Alec Gunfear!" shouted Vegeta while holding his arms behind him before thrusting them forward, unleashing a gigantic powerful fuchsia-colored Kai beam from his hands and body toward Spice. The sight making Spice pale slightly before he quickly got out of the way of the blast, only to be horrified when he saw that Vegeta hadn't been aiming at him, he was aiming at the Machio star. "No!" Spice yelled in horror as the planet was soon destroyed as he felt his strength leave him. "Time to die. Galaxy breaker," said Vegeta as he generated electricity around his chest and converted it into a bluish-white aura around his body before thrusting his chest forward and unleashing a large Kai wave right at Spice, who had no time to dodge the blast. Crying out in agony as he was sent flying through the air, Vegeta soon stopped the attack when he could no longer sense or see anything left of the Machian. The lookout. Back on the lookout, Garlic Jr. was shocked again as his body began shrinking down to its regular size while his power took a massive drop. What is Garlic Jr. said only to cry out in pain when Goku suddenly appeared in front of him, slamming his elbow down on his shoulder and breaking the immortal Machian's arm. "It looks like Vegeta took away that power boost you had. That just make this easier," said Goku as the Machian started getting scared at now being completely outclassed. Goku then grabbed Garlic Jr. by the back of his head and brought it straight down on his knee, shattering his nose and nearly caving his entire head in. With Garlic Jr. having no chance to retaliate as Goku then threw him into the air. "Twin Kamehameha!" shouted Goku firing two Kamehamehas from both his hands at Garlic Jr., the two attacks crashing right into him and began tearing his body apart, much to Garlic Jr.'s agony as his body kept regenerating and being destroyed. When the attack stopped, Garlic Jr. was panting heavily as his body was regenerating, but before it could fully regenerate, Goku was on him again and grabbing him by his throat. "You think immortality makes you invincible, let's see what good it does you right now," Goku said before flying straight down towards the earth at high speed, with Garlic Jr. crying out as his body couldn't handle the speed and started breaking apart. His pain only increasing 100-fold when they reached the ground and he was smashed, feeling every single bone in his body break and slowly knit themselves back together. Only to then find himself being dragged across the ground, screaming in pure pain and agony as his body was ripped to shreds from the friction. "Just let it end. Please just let the pain end," Garlic Jr. mentally screamed as his body just kept regenerating no matter how much damage was done, much to his horror that his immortality was now being used against him. With Kami and Popo. Meanwhile, within the lookout, the destruction of the Machio star and Goku's transformation into a Super Saiyan had also been sensed by Kami, Popo and the past guardians. "Pay Kami this power, it's Goku," Popo said in shock at sensing how powerful Goku had become all of a sudden. This the power of a Super Saiyan. It's like nothing I've ever sensed before," said Kami in shock and awe at sensing Goku become a Super Saiyan for the first time. "He's truly come so far," said Popo, remembering when Goku had first arrived on the lookout to be trained, now having long since surpassed everyone else on Earth. Kami nodded in agreement before he saw that the sudden power had also left the past guardians frozen in shock, none of them having sensed such power before. Knowing this was his chance, Kami flared his power, finally winning the battle of wills against his predecessors. "Now's our chance, Mr. Popo," Kami said as they ran past the spirits towards the holes of the 7 air currents. Acting quickly, Kami poured the sacred water into the holes, allowing it to spread throughout the entire world and cure everyone infected by the black water mist. But he didn't have time to rest since he could still sense Goku's power and knew he needed to end things quickly. As well, it seemed Goku was more in control of himself than in his fight against Frieza. Kami would prefer not taking any chances. But Vegeta headed back the lookout after dealing with the Machio star and Spice, only to stop at the top of Korin's tower when Korin and Yajirobe waved him down. "Vegeta. Here, you and the other may need these after all that," Korin said while tossing a bag of senzu beans at the Saiyan prince, who caught the bag. Eating one of the beans, Vegeta smirked as all his injuries instantly healed, along with feeling his power had grown from his fight. Flying up to the lookout, Vegeta saw that Krillin, Gohan and Piccolo had managed to pick themselves up after Garlic Jr.'s beating. With Kami and Popo soon exiting the lookout, the Guardian feeling drained from the battle of wills against the past guardians. "Here, the cat below us gave these to me," Vegeta said while giving them the senzu beans, much to their gratitude and relief as the 3 fighters and Guardian ate one each. "Oh man, am I glad we have these," said Krillin, relieved at having senzu beans with how many times they've fought such powerful opponents. "Indeed. And I managed to spread the sacred water through Earth's air currents, everyone infected by the black water mist should be cured momentarily," Kami said, much to their relief that everyone would be cured soon. Though suddenly their attention turned to a crash, only to be shocked at seeing a mutilated and slowly regenerating Garlic Jr. had crashed into the lookout. With Goku soon appearing and looking at him murderously before he moved to attack him again. "Dad, stop. He's finished, you don't have to keep attacking," Gohan said while getting in front of his father, not wanting him to keep brutalizing Garlic Jr. like that. "Yeah, just calm down Goku, the fight's done, we've won and we're all alright. So is everyone else that was infected," added Krillin, wanting his friend to calm down. "It won't be done until he can't try anything anymore," Goku retorted, wanting to make sure Garlic Jr. can't hurt any of his friends and family ever again, even if he had to keep tearing him apart again and again until he couldn't regenerate anymore. "And he won't, we'll seal him away where he can't escape," said Kami, having had Popo grab the vase that once contained the black water mist to seal Garlic Jr. in, not missing the irony and using it as Garlic Jr.'s new prison. "Right now, you need to calm down before you lose control," Piccolo said sternly while looking at Goku with narrowed eyes. With Goku scowling and glaring at Garlic Jr., who looked completely terrified of him and would be trying to escape if his body still wasn't regenerating. "How disappointing Kakarot to give into your baser instincts like that. And here I thought you didn't want to be like the rest of our kind unless you've finally begun embracing your ruthlessness. In that case, perhaps you have a Saiyan spirit after all," Vegeta said with a smirk, which seemed to finally snap Goku out of his anger, with him looking at himself in surprise while seeing that his hands were covered in Garlic Jr.'s blood. Clenching his fists, Goku took a few deep breaths before he powered down and transformed back to normal, much to everyone's relief. "Now for you," said Piccolo as he and Kami turned to Garlic Jr. before they performed the evil containment wave on the immortal Machian, sealing him inside the vase before sealing it shut. "We'll make sure this is sealed away somewhere that no one can find it," Kami said with Piccolo nodding in agreement, neither of them wanting to risk Garlic Jr. being found and freed like Demon King Piccolo had been. "Wonderful. Kakarot, I'm sure you and your brat are wondering where your other offspring is, he's at the woman's home," Vegeta said before flying off back towards Capsule Corporation, with Goku and Gohan being surprised before flying after him to get Naruto, while Krillin went to pick up Marin. Later Mount Paozu. Goku and Gohan had picked up Naruto at Capsule Corporation, relieved that he'd been found and kept safe, along with knowing they'll have to make sure he doesn't fly away again. With them then immediately making their way back home to check on Chichi and show her Naruto's fine. "Goku. Gohan. Naruto. Oh thank goodness you're alright," Chichi said while running outside the moment she saw her husband and sons, with her being especially happy and relieved at seeing her youngest son was alright, immediately taking him out of Goku's arms and holding him tightly. "Yeah, he was at Capsule Corporation after he was found flying around by Vegeta. Apparently Saiyans can fly even as babies," said Goku, much to Chichi's shock before she looked at Naruto with narrowed eyes. "You better not think of flying off on your own like that again, you got it mister," said Chichi, with the half-Saiyan merely giggling at his mother and clapping his hands. "What happened anyway?" Chichi asked with everything feeling fuzzy after she saw the black mist in the air, only coming to not that long ago. "It's kind of a long story," said Gohan as he and Goku began telling her everything that happened, with Garlic Jr. unleashing the black water mist, saving Krillin and Marin from their infected friends, fighting the Spice Boys and Garlic Jr. on the lookout, and everyone thankfully being saved. But Chichi looking at them with wide eyes at everything that happened, but felt relieved that everyone was saved and Garlic Jr. was sealed away before she let out a sigh. "Well, with everything that happened and with Naruto now back home, I guess it wouldn't hurt if you wanted to go to Kame House for the party," said Chichi, willing to let them go to the party after everything that happened, especially now that Naruto's back and safe. With her words making Goku and Gohan smile, happy that they'll get to go to the party and see all their friends. Later Kame House. It wasn't long before the Sun family had arrived at Kame House for the party, which they learned was for Turtle's 1000th birthday. With them seeing Bulma and her family, along with a reluctant Vegeta were also present. "Hey Vegeta. I didn't get the chance to thank you earlier, but thanks for looking after and protecting Naruto," Goku said while smiling at the Saiyan prince, thankful that he protected his youngest son. "What are you talking about Kakarot? I merely gave the boy to the woman and she looked after him," said Vegeta, not wanting them to think he's going soft or that he's nice. "Well that's not what Bulma told us. She said you protected Naruto from the black water mist after saving him from a pterodactyl, then protecting him from the infected people who tried breaking into the compound. So we want to thank you for protecting our son," said Chichi with a small smile, as while she may not like Vegeta much for his past actions, she was thankful for him protecting Naruto. With this making Vegeta growl in annoyance and embarrassment as he looked at Bulma, who smiled cheekily and waved at him before he scoffed and looked away. Whatever. I'm only making sure one of the few Saiyans left doesn't die because you are an idiot, Kakarot. Don't expect me to save the brat the next time you lose track of him," retorted Vegeta before walking away, unaware of Piccolo watching them with a smirk on his face. I guess your kids have a way of connecting with unexpected people, Goku. Thought Piccolo, seeing that Naruto was beginning to have a similar effect on Vegeta that Gohan has had on him. Meanwhile, Krillin was sitting on the beach with an unsure and contemplative expression on his face while watching Marin swim in the water before smiling and waving at him. Which he hesitantly returned, something the others noticed. Is something wrong, Krillin? Gohan asked while going over to his friend. Yeah man, you aren't celebrating or spending time with your girl. Said Yamcha, wondering what was wrong with his fellow turtle school student. I'm just not feeling very up to celebrating. And Marin, I'm really not sure about our relationship, if I'm good enough for her. Krillin said, still feeling shy and unsure if their relationship will work, with the others looking at him in surprise. Seriously dude. Any girl would be lucky to have you, you're one of the strongest people I know and one of the nicest. Yamcha said, with Gohan nodding in agreement. Yeah, you're a really great guy, Krillin, and loyal to the people you care about. I doubt many people would be willing to go to an alien planet to save their friends, even willing to die to save them. And Marin seems to really like you too. Said Gohan while putting a hand on his friend's shoulder, with Krillin looking at them in surprise. You guys really think so? Krillin asked, since with their recent fights, he hasn't felt very strong with how many times he's been beaten and even killed before he looked at Goku when he put a hand on his shoulder and smiled at the former monk. We know it, Krillin. Take it from someone who didn't even know what marriage was growing up, if there's one thing you can trust, it's what your heart is telling you. What's yours telling you about Marin? Said Goku, having never regretted marrying Chi-Chi, even when he didn't initially know what a bride was and has enjoyed every day with her and their family. Krillin looked at his friends for a few moments before looking at Marin and soon smiled at her. It's telling me I should give our relationship a real chance. Krillin said, now feeling more confident in continuing his relationship with Marin. Unknown location. Though unknown to everyone as they were celebrating, washing up on an unknown island was the beaten and battered form of Spice. The Machian having just I swear I will make those Saiyans pay, Spice said weakly, swearing he'll get revenge on the Saiyans for destroying the Machio Star and defeating Garlic Jr. Before he waving his hand at an insect that was flying too close to his face before it got in close and bit him, making the Machian smack the spot where it was. Only for the insect to fly away before he could crush it. But the insect flying away from the island and over the ocean, soon entering a mountain range surrounded by a forest. The insect flying through a small and unseen hole in the mountain, soon coming out into a large lab with a single person inside. But it being an old man with slightly tanned skin, blue eyes, a large bushy white mustache, matching eyebrows, and long white hair with the top of his head being bald. His clothing is black, with orange sections at the upper arms and light yellow sleeves at the lower arms. His pants are dark brown, while his shoes are black and white. This was Dr. Jiro, a former scientist of the now defunct Red Ribbon Army. Ah, more DNA samples, let's see what you've collected. Jiro said with a smirk as his fly drone connected to the computer and began uploading the DNA samples it collected from the Spice Boys and Garlic Jr. Yes, these will do nicely for Cell. But first we'll see how you both do. Jiro said while turning his attention to two sedated young teenagers lying on metal tables. Let's see how Son Goku can handle the two of you, Android 17 and Android 18. Jiro stated wickedly, knowing he'll soon avenge the Red Ribbon Army and the death of his son. So, what did you think? Good. Yep, we see Vegeta getting Naruto and the Brief's family to safety, before showing that while he's beginning to change, he still has his ruthlessness and bloodthirstiness, not hesitating in killing the infected humans, rather than incapacitate them. Only stopping when the Namekians arrive and he heads to the lookout. Then we see Goku, Gohan, and Krillin fighting the Spice Boys and the infected Piccolo, managing to take out mustard, salt and vinegar, with this giving Piccolo the chance to free Kami and Popo so they can get the sacred water to cure everyone. Though things start going on Garlic Jr.'s and Spice's favor when the Machio Star draws closer to the Earth, empowering. Luckily Vegeta arrives to take on Spice, only for Garlic Jr. to still prove powerful on his own, incapacitating Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo before taunting Goku, leading to him transforming into a Super Saiyan again. Which Vegeta and Spice sense, the latter being nervous but confident that Garlic Jr. will win, only for Vegeta to destroy the Machio Star, taking away their power boost before seemingly annihilating Spice. Before we then see Goku start brutalizing Garlic Jr., making him regret being immortal, while Kami and Popo get the chance to spread the sacred water across the earth, curing everyone. Then we see Vegeta returning to the lookout, getting some senzu beans from Korin along the way, letting everyone heal up before Goku returns with a mutilated Garlic Jr., being calmed down by the others before Piccolo and Kami seal him away. Finally we see Goku and Gohan pick up Naruto from Capsule Corporation and return home, telling Chi-Chi everything that happened, with her letting them go to the party, where both parents thank Vegeta for looking after Naruto much to his embarrassment, along with Krillin getting some encouragement to keep pursuing his relationship with Marin. Before we then see Spy survived Vegeta's attack, along with seeing Dr. Jiro has gotten his DNA, along with the rest of the Spice Boys and Garlic Jr. for Cell. So, for those that like the story, thanks for your support. For those that don't or at least don't like the direction taken, you're more than welcome to drop a story. But thanks for giving the story a chance anyway. I own nothing. A year and a half have passed since the battle on Namek and Garlic Jr.'s attempt to take over the world with the Blackwater Mist. With things having remained peaceful since then, while Bulla had been born during this time as well. Along with the Namekian Dragon Balls having been restored and allowed the Namekians to wish for a new planet Namek to be created, reviving the Namekians that Vegeta had killed and wishing them all back to their new planet. Though Dend had chosen to stay on Earth after Kami had spoken to him and saw the potential in the young Namekian, as well as his abilities, to become the next guardian of Earth. Dend having accepted the offer, wanting to help repay the Z fighters for their help and getting the chance to stay with his friends on Earth. Goku had also started training to master his Super Saiyan form to the point where he'll be able to enter it at will and control the increased aggression it causes. Knowing while the form is already powerful, it's still uncontrollable, and the Saiyan knew it'd be even stronger once he mastered it and could control himself. It was also during this time that Naruto and Bulla had their first birthdays, with Vegeta dropping a large bombshell on Bulla's birthday. Flashback. Ooh, they're both so adorable. Bulma said smiling as she watched Bulla and Naruto run around, laughing and smiling as they played with her daughter's presents, while Gohan followed after them to make sure they didn't try flying away. While around them, their friends and family were mingling and chatting with some of the Z fighters, also making sure to stay close to any potential exits. Knowing that even if they're only 1 year old, Naruto and Bulla could easily slip away if they saw a chance. Yeah, they really are. Though I'm still surprised at how quickly they're already walking and running. Said Chi-Chi, also smiling at the two, having not expected them to have start being able to move around already. Which also made it that much harder to keep an eye on them, as now they were able to move much faster, rather than just flying away when no one was watching. Maybe, but it's also expected. They are half Saiyans and were already able to fly at just a few months old, being able to walk and run seems pretty standard after that. Stated Bulma, figuring that they would develop faster than normal human babies, with Chi-Chi nodding in agreement since it was true. As long as they don't grow up too fast. Chi-Chi said, not wanting either children to have to grow up too fast and enjoy themselves. Well, either way, they're gonna be great friends growing up. Even better that they'll get to be rivals when they start training. Goku said with a grin, knowing that Naruto and Bulla will definitely be powerful fighters. Perhaps they could more than merely companions. Vegeta said, getting the attention of Bulma, Goku and Chi-Chi. What do you mean Vegeta? Questioned Goku, wondering what the Saiyan prince meant. I believe it would be beneficial to have them be engaged and married when they're older. With their heritage and power, it would make sense for them to be partners in everything, allowing them to grow stronger by each other's side. Revealed Vegeta, much to their shock that he'd suggest engaging Naruto and Bulla. No. Naruto is too young to even think of being interested in girls, let alone dating or marrying one. Chi-Chi immediately said, with Bulma nodding in agreement. The same goes for Bulla, she just turned 1 and you're already thinking of having her marry someone. Bulma added, not wanting her daughter to have something like that hanging over her head. Yeah, they're right. That seems like something Naruto and Beulah should decide when they're older. Goku said with a frown. It's merely a suggestion and one that'd be for the best since they're the same age, they're both half Saiyans, they would grow up knowing each other and training together. The choice simply seems obvious. Vegeta said with a shrug, making them frown, though at the same time Bulma and Chi-Chi could also understand his reasoning. Even the Bluenet is heiress of one of the world's leading technological corporations, while the Ravenet was a princess. They could understand why Vegeta was proposing such a thing, along with his reasons for it. But that's also why they were the most adamant against the idea, since it is a possibility they once had to deal with and didn't want their children to have to worry something like that as well. Besides, outside of the royal family of Planet Vegeta and a few special cases, Saiyans don't have a concept of marriage. Those that did care enough to be married usually practiced polygamy over monogamy, as having multiple spouses would ensure they produce more powerful offspring. While only a handful, if any, Saiyans chose to only take a single partner. Added Vegeta, surprising them at this knowledge. Oh really? And what exactly is a Saiyan's ideal partner? Bulma asked while looking at Vegeta with a raised brow. Someone strong enough to stand beside them and not be cowed by anything or anyone, including their partner. Both to prove that they have spirit and aren't afraid, along with showing they'd have the strength to pass on to their offspring. There would also be the rare Saiyans that'd choose a partner out of genuine love, whether they were strong or not, choosing them because that's who they wanted. Vegeta said, with his words making Goku frown thoughtfully, which Chichi noticed. Are you wondering about your own parents? Asked Chichi as she looked at her husband. Yeah. Just wondering what they were like if they had been married. Goku replied, unable to help but wonder about his birth parents with this new information on Saiyan culture. Wondering if they'd been married, if they only got together to have stronger children or genuinely loved each other. Only being able to imagine what they were like from his encounter with Raditz and what he could have been like if he never hit his head, which didn't help his opinion. He worked with Raditz before. Did he ever mention his parents? Bulma asked while turning to the Saiyan prince, who merely shrugged in response. I never paid much attention to Raditz, only caring if the information seemed relevant or worth remembering. He may have mentioned that they were married and his father was a powerful Saiyan for a low-class warrior, claiming that he could rival, if not surpass, most elite-class Saiyans. Something I was initially skeptical about, but now that I've seen Kakarot fight and achieve Super Saiyan, I guess those claims may not be as far-fetched as I originally thought. I believe he also mentioned that they had sent Kakarot to Earth just before planet Vegeta was destroyed by that meteor impact that we now know was actually Frieza. Vegeta replied, having never really listened to anything Raditz may have said about his family. But this making them frown in thought before shaking their heads. Well, getting back to the topic at hand, let's hold off on any arrangements until Naruto and Bulla are older. To give them a chance to develop a more organic bond and let them decide if they want to be together. Said Bulma, with Chichi and Goku nodding in agreement. Agreed. That way they'd at least have a better understanding of things like that, along with being older, rather than just accepting they're going to be together. Letting them experience things on their own. Chichi added, willing to agree with an arranged marriage if it's something they wanted and fully understood it. Vegeta nodded in acceptance at this, before they suddenly heard an explosion and crash, making everyone look only to see a giant hole in the ceiling. Looking to what could have made it, they saw Naruto and Bulla pointing at Gohan, who had a disbelieving look on his face. It wasn't me. Gohan exclaimed while shaking his head upon seeing everyone looking at him, no one noticing Naruto and Bulla quickly running away while grinning at each other. Then flashback. The two toddlers having managed to make it halfway out of the city before they were found, luckily before they could get hurt. With this also showing the Z fighters that they had to keep an even closer eye on the two if they were starting to use their Kai offensively and would have to start teaching them how to control it. Currently though, Gohan was sitting inside his home, having finished with his studies for the day and taking a break. Only for him to hear the phone start ringing, making him go downstairs to answer it. Hello. Gohan said after picking up the phone. Hey Gohan, it's me, Krillin. Is Goku there? Krillin asked on the other end. Hey Krillin, and no, he isn't. Dad's out training right now, but he should be home soon. Did you want me to take a message for him? Questioned Gohan, wondering if he had something important to tell his father. Nah, it's fine, I actually wanted to tell all of you this. A few days ago, I finally worked up the courage and proposed to Marin, and she said yes. We're actually preparing the wedding right now and wanted to let everyone know. Revealed Krillin, while the half Saiyan could practically hear the smile on the former monk's face. Really, that's awesome Krillin, I'll be sure to let mom and dad know. Gohan replied with a smile, happy for his friend. Thanks Gohan, we plan to have the wedding on our 2-year anniversary, so it'll be even more special. Krillin said, feeling happy and excited to get married to his girlfriend turned fiancé. That's really great. We'll be sure to, said Gohan, only to suddenly freeze, with Krillin doing the same on the other end. The reason being that both fighters just sensed a powerful, yet familiar, power level approaching Earth. One that both of them recognized despite how it seemed different. Krillin said Gohan, wanting to make sure he sensed it too. Yeah, I sense it and there's no doubt about it, that's Frieza. Krillin said, not believing he was somehow still alive, before the two immediately hung up to get ready. With Gohan about to go get his battle armor, only to stop when Goku burst through the door. Gohan. Get ready, I just sensed, Goku said, having just sensed Frieza during his training and quickly rushed home to warn his family. I sensed him too, after Krillin called, he sensed Frieza too. Replied Gohan, confirming that he already sensed Frieza, making the Saiyan nod before he looked up at the sky in anger. Angry at both himself for giving Frieza some of his energy and that despite surviving his counterattack when he took advantage of his kindness, the tyrant still didn't learn his lesson. With Goku swearing that this time he'll make sure to finish the job. Reef's compound. Son of a bi-female dog. Vegeta yelled as he slammed his hands on the table while quickly stopping his cursing at the look he got from Bulma, who had Bulla on her lap. What, still ticked off about the shirt? Bulma asked while looking at the pink shirt the Saiyan prince was wearing. Given his armor and regular Earth clothes were either all filthy or damaged from training, they had to give him her father's bad man shirt. Something she enjoyed doing, with how angry he got at having to wear a pink shirt. No, I'm well, yes actually, I'm absolutely livid but that's not the point. That idiot Kakarot failed. Frieza's still alive. Retorted Vegeta rather calmly that he's still angry about the shirt, before shouting again when he sensed Frieza's power and knew that Goku failed to actually kill him. But this reveal making Bulma's and her parents' eyes widen in shock before getting worried that Frieza was now coming to Earth. Space. Meanwhile within a spaceship, Frieza, who was now covered in multiple mechanical and cybernetic parts, stood beside his father, King Cold. King Cold looked very similar to Frieza in his second form, towering over everyone else with horns sprouting from his head, a dark blue dome on his head, deep purple skin, bio armor on his wrists that was white, a red cape, and standard battle armor that was black with elongated yellow shoulders and midsection. My, this planet is certainly lovely, like a blue pearl resting in the dark sea of space, just waiting to plucked. It'd make for a nice little vacation spot to travel to, occasionally. Cold said, admiring the side of Earth as they approached it. Yes, it does seem to have a certain beauty to it. Though I believe it would also fetch a nice price at an auction after I've dealt with those worthless monkeys and their little friends that killed my men and tried killing me. Them, and every other insect on the planet. Said Frieza while restraining his anger, wanting to let it out entirely once he gets his hands on the Saiyans and their allies. Indeed, my son. Though if this Super Saiyan is as powerful as you say he is, would it not have been better to bring Cooler along with us? It could even be a little family bonding, conquering a planet together and wiping out the last of the Saiyans. Said Cold with a smirk, only for Frieza to scoff at the idea, mostly due to the sibling rivalry between him and his brother. Oh please, he'd only get in the way, even you know he's incompetent and weaker than us. After all, he's the firstborn and yet I was still made your heir and successor, father. That alone shows who is inferior between me and him. Frieza bragged, having always enjoyed holding it over his brother's head that he was made their father's heir and successor, rather than Cooler, himself. With Cold just rolling his eyes at his son's attitude since the reason he didn't make Cooler his heir was because he reminded him too much of himself. As well as being fully aware that his eldest son had unlocked a fifth form and surpassed Frieza, the only reason he didn't tell youngest son of this was because he didn't want to run the risk of infighting within their family and the Planet Trade Organization. While also wondering if he should try teaching him some humility once they were done on Earth so he doesn't let something like this happen again. Before focusing back on the planet as the two and their men continued their way towards Earth. Back on Earth, the Z fighters had made their way to the spot where Frieza's ship would be landing, with Vegeta immediately going up to Goku, narrowing his eyes at the other Saiyan. Why is Frieza still alive? Vegeta demanded, wanting to know why Frieza was still alive when he was supposed to have died on Namek. I spared his life. After I beat him once he used his full power, I didn't see any point to finish the fight since he was already beaten and saw I could have finished him off. But then he attacked me when I tried leaving, only to end up cutting himself in half with his own attack before he begged me for some energy and I gave it to him. Only for him to try attacking me again, that's when I did try to kill him, but it looks like he survived. Goku explained while looking downtrodden and angry, with Vegeta being enraged at hearing this. You actually gave him your energy, after everything he'd done, you were still going to spare him, look at where that's gotten you now, Kakarot. Shouted Vegeta while looking ready to attack Goku after he'd be willing to spare Frieza, despite everything he'd done. Hey. Lay off him Vegeta, Goku's already beating himself up. And it's because of Goku's kind nature that most of us are even here, right now. Tien said while seeing how this was affecting Goku. Tien's right, most of us were Goku's enemies when we first met. I tried robbing him, Tien and Chiaotzu were from a rival martial arts school, and Piccolo tried to kill him. Added Yamcha, knowing it's only because of Goku's kind nature that most of them are where they are now. And in case you forgot, it's because of Goku's kind nature you're even alive at all. Piccolo stated, with Krillin nodding in agreement since he'd intended to kill Vegeta if it wasn't for Goku. And they could see how Frieza's arrival was affecting him, since this was essentially the first and only time that Goku's mercy has failed and had instead been thrown back in his face. Making them wonder if his training on Yardrat and initial desire to not be wished back to Earth was because he needed time to find himself after Namek. To learn when some enemies deserved mercy and when others didn't. DSK, whatever. But Frieza dies for good this time. Vegeta said while turning his attention back to the spaceship as it entered Earth's atmosphere, having no intentions of letting the tyrant get away. Ugh guys, I'm sensing another power level in there, one that seems to be just as strong as Frieza. Said Gohan, having been unable to sense it before due to only focusing on Frieza's power signature, but now he could sense another one as well. But the others nodded in agreement, also sensing the second signature, making them worried about who else could be on the ship. That's probably King Cold, his father. Said Vegeta, making the others look at him in surprise. His father, Krillin asked, not expecting Frieza to arrive with his father. Yes, he was also Frieza's predecessor before he retired, passing on control of the then Cold Force to Frieza, who renamed it the Frieza Force. I never met him in person since he retired while I was still in an incubation chamber. So I only really heard about him, and from what I'm sensing, his power level looks to be comparable to Frieza's final form. Vegeta replied, which only made them more worried at fighting Frieza and Cold. Let's get closer to see if we can observe the situation and what we're dealing with, said Piccolo, since from what he's heard Frieza, nor any of his men, could sense Kai and relied on their scouters, so they'd be able to get in closer without worry of being sensed. Everyone nodded in agreement as they moved to get closer, just as the ship landed and opened up as Frieza, Cold, and a group of their soldiers walked down the ramp and looked around. Crap. It looks like King Cold is only in his second form, possibly his first form, given how he's probably much older than Frieza. Krillin muttered, making everyone concerned, since if his power rivaled Frieza's final form while just being in his second or first form, then just how powerful was King Cold in his own final form? Not as pretty as the view from space, but I suppose even a pearl will have a few imperfections that need to be worked out. Cold state, frowning at the rocky terrain. White, and there are several imperfections I already have in mind to deal with. Speaking of which, soldiers, we'll be doing something a little different, rather than just eliminating every living thing, let's make a game of it, shall we? A scavenger hunt to see who gets the most point. Frieza said with a sadistic smirk, wanting to turn this into a game and really torment the Saiyans and their allies. The scavenger hunt will proceed as such. Normal human heads are worth 1 point, Namekian heads are worth 20, filthy half Saiyan brats, 50. And if you find any miserable, odious, insubordinate full-blooded monkey garbage you win. Well, off you go. Ordered Frieza, with the men nodding as they moved to begin the hunt. But before they could even take a few steps, 2 blurs shot past them, with several of the men being cut down, and the rest were vaporized by Kai blasts. With 2 young adults, both looking to be 21 years old, landed in front of Frieza and Cold, one being a boy and the other a girl. The sight of them shocking the father-son duo, along with the Z fighters for several reasons. The first being that both of them had brown monkey tails sprouting from their tailbones, showing that both of them were Saiyans. And what was shocking for the Z fighters were their appearances and who they looked like. But the boy having dark, spiky black hair, pale skin, blue eyes, and 3 unique whisker-like marks on his cheeks. While his attire consisted of a red scarf on his neck, a black long-sleeved shirt with a black trench coat on top, black gloves, black pants with a silver belt that had a red and black biohazard symbol for the buckle, as well as black boots. And the girl had turquoise hair that fell down to just past her shoulders, pale skin, and matching turquoise eyes. With her wearing a black tank top that left her midriff exposed, a red hoodie with a white interior and the Capsule Corporation logo on the left shoulder, red wristbands, red fingerless gloves, blue skin-tight pants with the right leg cut off at her mid-thigh. A brown belt with some brown pouches attached to it and white boots with yellow striped toes. "So, how many points are those?" asked the boy, while the girl smirked and formed a large Kai blade from her right hand. "And do we get bonus point by killing the both of you?" she asked while aiming the Kai blade at Frieza and Cold, as everyone could only look at them in shock. "So, what did you think? Good. Yep, we see what's happened during the time skip, with some differences such as Den staying on Earth and becoming Kami's apprentice and future successor, as well as a flashback to Bulla's first birthday, where Vegeta makes a surprising offer to engage her and Naruto, something the others aren't too sure about but decide to wait and see. Then we learn Krillin has proposed to Marin and when they'll be having the wedding, only for the Z fighters to sense Frieza's arrival on Earth, getting a look at him and King Cold before they arrive along with the Z fighters. Finally we see before they can send their soldiers out, they're stopped by 2 mysterious young adults that have a striking resemblance to Naruto and Bulla. So, for those that like the story, thanks for your support. For those that don't or at least don't like the direction taken, you're more than welcome to drop the story. But thanks for giving the story a chance anyway. I own nothing. Guys, it's not just me, right? Because those 2 Yamchas said in shock at the sight of the 2 unknown Saiyans, though they all knew who they looked like. Yeah, even without looking at them, their Kai is identical and much more powerful. I just have no idea how they could be here and look like that, said Tien, just as shocked at who the 2 were. So it's actually them? That's Naruto and Bulla, Krillin said, not believing they were looking at grown-up versions of Naruto and Bulla, which should be impossible when they're still toddlers. But how can they be here and look like that no less? Said Chiaotzu in disbelief, wondering how there could be 2 Narutos and 2 Bullas, even more so with how old these 2 were, not to mention stronger from what they were sensing. Only for no one to have an answer, all of them being confused and shocked at where these grown-up versions of Naruto and Bulla came from. Let's just focus on the current problem with Frieza and Cold, then worry about where they came from and how they're here. Piccolo said, knowing they can worry about the how and why later, since right now they still had Frieza and Cole to deal with. The others nodded in agreement that they can get answers later, right now they'd need to focus on Frieza and Cold. Though Goku, Gohan and Vegeta did feel some pride at the sight of their son, brother and daughter, sensing just how strong they were. "We let them handle it," Vegeta stated while crossing his arms, wanting to see just how powerful this grown-up version of Bulma is. "What? Are you crazy? Goku could only beat Frieza after becoming a Super Saiyan, now he's back and with his dad who's probably even stronger. And you want to let them fight alone," said Krillin, not believing Vegeta would want to stay out of this. "Vegeta's right, Krillin, we'll stay out of it. Besides you can sense it too, they can handle Frieza," said Goku, eager at what Naruto would be capable of as a teenager. They were able to take out those soldiers without even trying, and with how confident they both look, I get the feeling they know what they're doing. "I'd say we watch for now, but if it looks like they're getting overwhelmed, then we move in," Piccolo said, with the others reluctantly nodding in agreement, figuring it could at least give them an idea of Frieza's current power and how strong King Cold is. Meanwhile, down by the ship, Frieza scowled in annoyance at seeing 2 more Saiyans, not believing how more of them just keep appearing. "How is it that even after I destroyed your entire planet, you monkeys just keep coming out of the woodworks?" demanded Frieza, while Naruto and Bulma merely smirked at the tyrant. "Humming from a guy that cut himself in half with his own attack, is it really surprising you'd have performance issues in trying to kill people?" Naruto said, much to Frieza's growing annoyance. "Maybe that's why he brought his daddy along with him this time. He wants to try and show he's a big boy that doesn't need help," said Bull in a mocking baby voice, annoying the tyrant even further. But being Frieza attempted to just blast both of them until not even ashes were left before he began laughing off their taunts. Believing they were all talk without any power to back up their petty insults. "Ho ho ho ho. You monkeys, always talking so strong. Let's see how confident you are once you're dead. Soldiers, kill them," Frieza ordered, motioning the remaining soldiers to kill the 2 Saiyans. "But, Lord Frieza, they just turned an entire squad into a pile of," Lee said, a soldier, unsure about facing the Saiyans after how they already wiped out most of the men. Only for the soldier and those still alive to suddenly collapse to the ground with slashes covering their bodies. Well, Bulla reappeared beside Naruto, dismissing her Kai blade and crossing her arms with a smirk. "I know you're probably scared of fighting us yourself, but did you really think those weaklings would be able to even scratch us?" Bulla said, causing Frieza to scowl in annoyance again. "Or do you want to try hiding behind Daddy next? Send him to beat up the big bad Saiyans for picking on you," added Naruto, with the Emperor clenching his fists hard enough to draw blood. "I don't need any help to deal with a couple of filthy monkeys like you," Frieza shouted before speeding straight at Naruto and Bulla. Though Naruto moved next, catching Frieza's fist when he tried punching the male Saiyan before the tyrant flipped to slam his leg into Naruto's head to take it off. Only for Naruto to block the kick with his other arm, grabbing Frieza's leg as well. Before backflipping and slamming his foot into Frieza's jaw, sending him flying up into the air. But Bulla quickly flying up above Frieza, clasping her hands together and holding them over her head before bringing them down onto Frieza's back once he was close enough. Or would have, only for Frieza to manage to catch himself, blocking Bulla's hands with his tail. "Damn monkey," Frieza growled, aiming his finger at the blue net to fire a death beam. "Annoying gecko," retorted Bulla with a smirk as she coated her hand with Kai just as Frieza fired his death beam, slicing through the beam while making Frieza's eyes widen at the sight. Only to grunt when Bulla then smashed her Kai-enhanced fist into the Emperor's face, knocking him back through the air. With Naruto flying up as well and waiting for Frieza, grabbing him by his tail before spinning around. "What goes up goes right back down," Naruto said as he tossed Frieza straight back towards the ground before holding his hands over his head. "Lysenko, ha," said Naruto, firing an orange Kai blast after Frieza. While Frieza crashed into the ground only to get back up and scowl at the blast coming at him before holding his hand out and ripping up a large chunk of the ground. Giving a shout, Frieza tossed the chunk at the blast, causing it to explode before it could hit him. "Now die, Saiyan," Frieza said as he fired a death cannon through the smoke to vaporize Naruto. "You missed," stated Naruto reappearing right beside Frieza, much to his shock at the Saiyan's sudden appearance. Before Frieza raised his arms, blocking Naruto's fist as he swung it at the Frost Demon, though was still sent skidding back. "Maiden's Rage," Bulla said, charging up 2 pink energy spheres in her hands before bringing them together in front of her, firing a pink Kai blast at Frieza. "Weak," said Frieza while firing his own Kai blast that collided against Bulla's, with both of them trying to overpower the other. But the tyrant laughing as his blast soon overwhelmed Bulla's, engulfing the blue net, pleased at finally killing one of the Saiyans. "Maiden Blast," Bulla suddenly said from behind Frieza, much to his shock and anger that she's still alive. only to cry out when he was engulfed in a large, pink energy sphere, feeling himself being hit from every side and angle before the sphere exploded, launching Frieza up into the air, where Naruto was waiting for him with blue, spiraling Kai surrounding his fist. Spiral impact. Naruto said while thrusting his fist at Frieza, only for the frost demon to catch it with his tail. Though Frieza's eyes widened as he cried out again when the spiraling Kai began drilling and cutting through his tail. But before he could let go, Naruto's fist ripped through his tail and smashed into his stomach, making Frieza gag as the attack began drilling into his body. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Frieza glared at the male Saiyan before firing Kai beams from his eyes, blast Naruto and knocking him away. Much to Frieza's relief as he quickly flew away from the two Saiyans as they floated across from him. "I'm getting tired of these games. Just die already," Frieza said, aiming his finger at them as he began firing a barrage death beam at Naruto and Bulla, each blast moving at high speed towards them. But the Saiyans quickly flying out of the way, though expecting them to do just that, Frieza created two death slicers and launched them at the Saiyans. Smirking wickedly as his attack homed in on Naruto and Bulla, leaving them unable to simply dodge them. "Ahahahahaha. That's right, all you can do is run Saiyans. But not for long," Frieza said, holding his arm back while charging Kai into his index and middle finger. Waiting until Naruto and Bulla were close together, Frieza swung his arm down, unleashing a giant razor-sharp energy blade at the Saiyans. Only to frown when Naruto and Bulla then flew at each other, before Naruto grabbed Bulla and threw her towards his death wave, while both death saucers homed in on Naruto. "Spirit shot," Naruto said while crossing his arms in front of him before throwing them out, releasing a powerful force that blew away the death saucers and propelled Bulla through the air. Frieza's eyes then widened in realization as Bulla formed her Kai sword again and sliced right through his death wave, with the female Saiyan now coming straight at him at high speed. With the frost demon quickly bending back in the air, avoiding being sliced in half by Bulla's sword. Only to grunt when the brunette twisted in the air, slamming her foot into his chin when he came back up, sending him higher up into the sky. With Bulla chasing after him, swinging her sword up, slashing the tyrant across his chest, before bringing her blade back down diagonally cutting Frieza again. Gritting his teeth at the attacks, Frieza gave a shout before releasing an explosive wave around him, launching Bulla back through the air. Panting lightly, Frieza scowled at the sight of the wounds from Bulla's Kai sword, before glaring at her and Naruto as they floated across from him. "I've had enough of these games. I'm going to wipe you Saiyans out for good if it's the last thing I do," Frieza shouted as his Kai flared around him, swearing he'll kill every last Saiyan no matter what. "Oh? Does that mean we can finally stop holding back, then?" Bulla asked with a smirk, which only angered Frieza further. "What?" demanded Frieza, his anger growing that they dare mock him by saying they were holding back, that they weren't even trying against him. "That's right. You didn't think we would go all out from the start, did you? We are Saiyans after all. We wanted to see if you could entertain us a little, and I guess even when you're more machine than flesh and blood you are still pretty strong, but you just aren't on the level of a Super Saiyan," revealed Naruto, causing the tyrant to freeze as his eyes widened. What did you say?" Frieza said, not believing what the whiskered Ravenet just said. "You did come to Earth to fight a Super Saiyan, right? How'd you like to fight the two in front of you?" said Bulla as her smirk grew, with Frieza looking at them with wide eyes before he smirked and began chuckling. "Ahahahaha, for a moment you actually almost had me fooled. As if two brats like you could have the same power as that annoying Saiyan, Son Goku," said Frieza, laughing loudly that they thought they could trick him into believing there could be more than one Super Saiyan. Knowing enough about the Saiyan's so-called legend that there can only be one Super Saiyan at a time, leaving Goku as the only threat he needs to eliminate. While Naruto and Bulla continued smirking at the Emperor as their power began rising, causing the air to start vibrating around them. The sight made Frieza stopping laughing as the horrifying realization began setting in at what he's seeing. "No. It can't be," Frieza said, shaking in horror at what he's seeing, just as Golden Kai began flickering around Naruto and Bulla before they began shouting as their power skyrocketed. "What are they?" said Cold in surprise at the power the Saiyans were releasing. With Naruto's eyes turning teal while his hair began flashing gold, while Bulla's hair started floating up as well. Until soon a golden aura exploded off of them, revealing the two transformed Super Saiyans with their hair shining a bright gold and standing up while their eyes burned with green fire. The sight made Frieza gasp in shock and horror, unconsciously moving back away from them, not believing there were now two Super Saiyans. Their eyes they have the same eyes," Frieza said, remembering the sight of Goku's transformation on Namek, the terror he felt at seeing the Super Saiyan was no mere legend, but a horrifying reality. Frieza. "So this is the legendary Super Saiyan," muttered Cold in intrigue, now seeing the form and power that had defeated Frieza so easily. But more than that, Cold recalled the story of their ancestor, the space pirate Lord Chilled, and how he had been defeated by a Saiyan before succumbing to his injuries. Though not a regular Saiyan with black hair and black eyes, instead it was a Saiyan whose hair had turned blonde and their eyes teal, just like these two. How interesting. Cole thought, realizing that must have been how the legend of the Super Saiyan began, with the one who had killed Chilled. While with the Z fighters, they were shocked at the sight of Naruto and Bullet transforming into Super Saiyans. That's the same transformation you can do, Dad. That means Gohan said in disbelief and amazement. They're Super Saiyans too, said Krillin in shock that Naruto and Bullet really were that strong, remembering the sight of Goku's transformation against Garlic Jr., and effortlessly he overwhelmed him. Alright. I knew they'd both be really strong when they were older. This is amazing. Said Goku with a grin, proud at how his son could become a Super Saiyan, and if Naruto could become one, then he knew Gohan definitely could as well. My daughter a Super Saiyan. Thought Vegeta, clenching his fist, having already known she would have amazing potential, but seeing it for himself, the Saiyan prince couldn't deny the pride he felt. This is the power of a Super Saiyan. Tien said in amazement at the power coming from the half Saiyans, having only heard of it, but seeing it in person was something else entirely. Oh man, hard to imagine two toddlers could become this powerful. Stated Yamcha, unable to imagine the Naruto and Bullet they know turning out this strong. HMPH, looks like we don't need to worry about anything. Said Piccolo, crossing his arms, given if Goku could defeat Frieza as a Super Saiyan, then having two of them would be more than enough. Back with Naruto, Bullet and Frieza, the Frost Demon shook at the sight of the two Super Saiyans, with the half Saiyan smirking at him. Now then, ready for round 2, Frieza? Naruto asked, making Frieza grit his teeth as he let anger replace the fear. Stay away from me. Frieza shouted, firing a powerful death cannon at the two before feeling relief as they were engulfed by his attack. Super Maiden Blast. Said Bullet, firing a powerful pink and gold Kai blast, shooting straight through Frieza's death cannon. Making the tyrant cry out as the blast engulfed him, sending him flying across the wasteland until Frieza gave a shout, blasting the energy away from him. I'll kill you all. Frieza said as he brought his arm back and charged his Kai to unleash a death wave. But the moment he brought his arm down, Naruto caught his wrist. Stopping the attack before the Whiskered Saiyan flipped over Frieza, slamming his feet into his back, sending Frieza crashing towards the ground, with Naruto then forming a blue spiraling Kai sphere in his hand. Spiral Cannon. Said Naruto, thrusting the sphere at Frieza, firing it as a spiraling blast of Kai at the Emperor. I won't be defeated by the likes of you monkeys. Yelled Frieza, flaring his power before unleashing several energy waves from his aura at Naruto's attack. Only for the spiral cannon to tear through the waves and continue on towards Frieza, making his eyes widen before he got out of the way. Grunting in pain when Bullet slammed her fist into his face before Frieza glared at her. Shouting in anger, Frieza began unleashing a barrage of punches at Bullet, only for the female Saiyan to dodge each of his attacks. Hold still, you worthless monkey. Frieza shouted, kicking his leg up at Bullet with her blocking his leg effortlessly, only for Frieza to immediately flip around to slam his tail into her. With Bullet catching Frieza's tail before it could hit her, followed by her yanking Frieza close and slamming her elbow into his face. Before Bullet slammed her knee into Frieza's stomach, making the tyrant gag and hunch over from the impact. Shine shot. Bullet said, using her Kai to create a ball of fire in her hand before having it condense around her fist. The blue net then smashed her flame-covered fist down into Frieza's back, making the Frost Demon scream from the impact and flames burning him. Before he went crashing into the ground, gritting his teeth as he hit the ground, forming a crater from the impact. Had enough, Gecko? Bullet asked with a taunting smirk as she and Naruto flew down to the ground, looking at the downed tyrant, as Frieza got up while breathing frantically as he glared at them. I've had enough of you monkeys. Frieza screamed before shooting up into the air, holding his finger up as he began forming a massive sun-like sphere above him. I'll turn you and the rest of this miserable planet into nothing but dust. Enjoy oblivion, Saiyans. Said Frieza laughing madly as he brought his hand down, causing the supernova to descend right on top of Naruto and Bullet. You know you could have just saved us the trouble and done that from the start, Frieza. Cold said in annoyance at his son having wasted time trying to fight when he could have done that from the start. There's just no pleasing you, is there? Father retorted Frieza in annoyance at the criticism, only to tense as his eyes widened in horror and disbelief when he felt someone grab his shoulder. Then he really won't like this. Bullet stated, before bringing her Kai blade down onto Frieza's shoulder, slicing his arm right off. But the sudden loss of his arm made Frieza scream in pain and shock, with it growing louder when Bullet swung her blade again, cutting his other arm off at the elbow. Hey Frieza. Said Naruto, firing a Kai blast at the supernova, launching it up into the air where it exploded, while Frieza's eyes widened in horror when he saw the Whiskered Saiyan. Seeing Naruto charging a blue Kai sphere in his hand and smirking at the tyrant, with Frieza shaking at the familiar sight of the attack. Remembering the last time he saw it and the Saiyan that dared believe it would do anything to him. WHWH, who are you? Frieza shouted when he saw someone's figure overlap with Naruto's. My name is Son Naruto and I'm a Saiyan. And this is for all the people the Saiyans killed in your name here, have it? Said Naruto before throwing his arm forward, unleashing it as a massive blast of Kai, while Frieza's eyes widened in horror at the attack coming at him and hearing those words again. This is for all the people we killed in your name. I wish we were never foolish enough to obey you. Here, have it. No, screamed Frieza at realizing just who Naruto was before screaming in pain as the blast engulfed him, vaporizing the Emperor entirely. Frieza. Cold said with wide eyes at the sight of his son being killed before Naruto and Bulla turned their attention towards him. Don't worry, you're next. Bulla stated, making Cold grit his teeth and glare at the Saiyans. You Saiyans have dared to insult my family and kill my son. I have destroyed planets for far less. Said Cold while the two got ready for a fight. Only to raise a brow when Cold suddenly smirked and began clapping, chuckling at the display they put on. I must say, the sight and power of a Super Saiyan is truly something else. I had only heard about it, but now seeing it in person, I can see why my son had lost. And power like yours, I could use two young recruits like you both. Join me and you'll have places of honor at my side, enforcing my rule across the universe. You can even take Frieza's position as emperor. Cold offered, believing they'd be more useful helping him rule the universe than simply killing them. You're offering us a job, right after we just killed your son? Naruto asked rhetorically, honestly not believing he actually made such an offer. Frieza did bring it onto himself. I don't get angry when my sons are the ones making foolish mistakes. Said Cold, knowing Frieza should have learned his lesson after nearly dying the first time against a Super Saiyan. Yeah, here's our counter offer. Die. Said Bulla before she and Naruto rushed Cold to take him out next. Though before they could get close, the half Saiyans were blown back from a sudden blast of power from Cold, making them and the hidden Z fighters' eyes widen in realization at what Cold was doing. He's transforming. Krillin exclaimed with a light stutter upon seeing that Cold could transform further like Frieza and feeling how much his power was growing. Now we interfere. Said Piccolo, tossing off his weighted clothes as the Z fighter flew out from their spot. Rah! Goku shouted as he turned Super Saiyan, knowing it'd be needed as Cold's power began dwarfing Frieza's. Naruto and Bulla looked at the Z fighters in surprise, having known they had been here watching the fight but didn't think they'd join in. What are you all? Bulla said, not wanting them to get involved and risk their lives, given the real threat that'll be showing up. No talking, just kill him. Said Vegeta, interrupting his daughter, making Bulla quickly nod, knowing they needed to take out Cold now. Super Doden Ray. Chiaotzu said, charging up and firing a more powerful Doden Ray at Cold. Domination Blast. Said Tien as he began several powerful Kai waves. Kamehameha. Yamcha said, charging up and firing a Kamehameha wave. Explosive Demon Wave. Said Piccolo, aiming one hand at Cold while his other hand held it before firing a large Kai blast at the Frost Demon. Double Tsubikiden. Krillin said, bringing his arms up to his sides before throwing them forward, firing two reddish-orange Kai waves. Galaxy Breaker. Vegeta said, generating electricity around his chest before converting it into bluish-white Kai, thrusting his chest at Cold releasing a huge Kai wave at him. Lysenko, ha! Said Gohan, bringing his hands up above his head before releasing a yellow Kai blast at Cold. Double Kamehameha. Goku said, charging two Kamehamehas in his hands and firing them. Maiden's Rage. Said Bulla, unleashing a powerful pink blast. Spiral Blast. Naruto said, creating a spiraling ball of Kai and threw it at Cold. But the spiral blast hitting the Frost Demon first before expanding into a massive dome around Cold, blasting him from every side and throwing him around the inside of the dome. Before the rest of the attacks combining together into a massive Kai wave, they engulfed the dome and Cold. The Z fighters kept up their attacks, wanting to make sure Cold was taken out, only for all of their attacks to suddenly be blasted away. Which also knocked them through the air. Unlike my son, I always prided myself on being more of a businessman, nor do I hold a particular grudge against Saiyans either. But, unfortunately, you all have used up my goodwill. Cold stated as the smoke cleared, revealing his changed appearance. Cold still stood much taller than any of the Z fighters, but now more closely resembled Frieza's final form, only with less bio-armor, showing his deep purple skin. While his white bio-armor covered his lower legs, forearms, upper chest and shoulders and his head while leaving his lower face exposed. Along with blue bio-gems on his shoulders, chest, bracers, lower legs and one on top of his head. Everyone could only look at Cold in shock, feeling themselves unable to move at the power he was releasing, while King Cold smirked at them as he held his hand up in front of him and clenched his fist. "Now if you all are so eager to fight, then allow me to show you why I'm still called king," said Cold while opening his hand, causing everything to momentarily turn black and white. Before he unleashed a massive exploding Kai wave around him, forming a pillar of pure destruction as it exploded outwards, sending the Z-fighters flying back and crashing into the surrounding area, grunting in pain as they crashed through rock formations or carved trenches through the ground as they were knocked back. Then without warning Cold vanished in a burst of speed before reappearing in front of Naruto, grabbing the half Saiyan by his hair and lifting him up as he slamming his fist into his stomach, causing Naruto to double over, coughing up blood from the punch, only to gag when Cold wrapped his tail around his neck. "What did you tell my son? This is for the people the Saiyans killed in his name. Well, here's something for the Saiyans I'll be killing in my name," said Cold before he began mercilessly punching Naruto repeatedly. "Leave him alone. Super Maiden Blast," Bullet said, firing a powerful pink blast at Cold. Smirking at the sight, Cold suddenly tossed Naruto straight towards the attack, much to Bullet's panic at seeing that she'd going to hit him, but was relieved when Piccolo stretched his arm out, pulling Naruto out of the way as her attack continued on towards Cold. Only for the Blue Net to cry out when Cold fired a death cannon that blew past her attack, crashing into Bullet and sending her crashing into a rock formation. "Don't worry, I'll deal with you along with your little friend," said Cold, blitzing Bullet with his body engulfed in an aura of Kai, ready to smash right through the half Saiyan. "Dirty fireworks," Vegeta said as he aimed his index and middle finger at Cold, triggering a huge explosion around the Frost Demon, stalling him long enough for Bullet to get out of the way. Only for the Saiyan Prince to gag when Cold appeared in front of him, smashing his knee into Vegeta's stomach before slamming his elbow down onto him, with a blow sending Vegeta crashing into the ground before he was buried further down when Cold crashed down on top of him. "You were one of my son's little pets," he decided to spare. "Here, I thought that meant you were smart enough not to bite the hand that fed you, but you know how it goes. When a pet turns rabid, it gets put down," Cold said, aiming a finger at Vegeta to fire a death beam. But before he could, Cold turned, blocking a punch from Goku and wrapping his hand around the Saiyan's throat before pulling him close and slamming his head against Goku's face. "And you're the Saiyan that fought Frieza, leaving him in the condition my men found him in," said Cold, pulling his fist back and charging it with Kai. Before slamming his fist into Goku's stomach, causing the Super Saiyan to gag and cough up blood, only to then scream as Cold fired a death cannon, launching Goku out of the hole into the air, with Cold speeding up into the air above Goku. "Hey Cold. How about the guy who cut off your son's tail?" Krillin shouted, making Cold look up to see Krillin and Tien in the air above him right in front of the sun. "Solar flare," said Krillin and Tien while holding their hands up to the head, triggering a bright flash of light, making Cold grunt and close his eyes from the light. This gave Goku a chance to catch himself in midair before turning around and hold his hands back. "Hami Hami Heiai," Goku shouted before firing the Kamehameha at Cold, engulfing the Frost Demon in the blast. "Here's something I gave Frieza, too," said Piccolo before opening his mouth widely and unleashing a powerful Kai wave at King Cold before both he and Goku gagged in pain when two death beams were shot out of the blasts, shooting straight through their chests, much to the Z-fighters' shock and horror. "Dad. Piccolo," Gohan said in horror at the sight of his father and mentor being shot before glaring at Cold and rushing him. Cold being surprised for a moment at Gohan's sudden speed and boost in power, with the half Saiyan slamming his foot into Cold's head. "Take this. Masenko, ha!" shouted Gohan as he held his hands up before firing a point-blank blast right at Cold's head, only for Gohan to then gasp in agony when Cold smashed his fist into his stomach before his tail shot out and wrapped around Gohan's left arm. "Well, you're certainly impressive for one so young. That attack almost felt like a gentle breeze, it didn't hurt, but it had my attention, unfortunately for you," Cold said before tossing Gohan up and smashing his fist into his back, sending the half Saiyan plummeting towards the ground. "Gohan," said Krillin, rushing forward to grab Gohan before he hit the ground, with Cold aiming a finger at them. "Oh yes, please try and save him. It will save me some trouble to kill you both at the same time," said Cold charging up a death beam, only to be stopped when Naruto crashed into him. "You're dead," yelled Naruto while blitzing Cold in pure rage, crashing right into the Frost Demon, knocking him through the air. But Bulla quickly appearing behind them with her Kai blade, slashing Cold across his back while Naruto slammed a Kai-enhanced fist into his face, sending Cold crashing into the ground. Before the two half Saiyans began charging up their attacks, Naruto held his hands back while creating a ball of dark purple Kai that was spinning around at high speed. While Bulla created a second Kai blade, holding them back and close to her chest. "Spiraling Kamehameha," Naruto shouted while firing a spinning dark purple black Kamehameha. "Piercing Gallic gun, fire," said Bulla, unleashing a dark pinkish-red Gallic gun shaped like a sword down at Cold. The piercing Gallic gun stabbed straight into Cold before the spiraling Kamehameha impacted him as well, spinning around as it drilled into Cold. Both half-Saiyans pouring as much Kai as they could into the attacks, intent to make sure nothing was left of the Frost Demon. Before their eyes widened when they felt Cold's power flare, crying out in shock and pain when the former emperor blasted right through their attacks. Delivering a double clothesline to their guts, making Naruto and Bulla cough and gag from the impact. Now that was quite the display. I actually almost felt it. Cold said with a smirk, before grabbing the half-Saiyans by their heads and sped down towards the ground. Smashing the two into the ground, Cold flew around dragging Naruto and Bulla through the ground as he did so. Until he flew back up and spun around, throwing them in different directions as they crashed through multiple rocks. But I'm sure you both felt that much more than I did. Stated King Cold before grunting in annoyance when a white ball of Kai slammed into the back of his head. Then let's see if you'll feel this, asshole. Yamcha said, directing his spirit ball around to keep slamming into Cold. And this too. Doden Barrage. Said Jiaotsu, firing off multiple Doden rays at Cold. This too. Kai Blast Cannon. Said Tien as he held his palms out and began firing a much larger and stronger Doden ray at Cold. The Frisk demon grunted in annoyance as the spirit ball kept crashing into him, combined with Jiaotsu quickly flying around and firing Doden rays, along with Tien's Kai Blast Cannon. Until Yamcha gave a shout as his spirit ball flew into the air before he brought it down right on top of Cold, triggering an explosion. Did we get high? Jiaotsu said hopefully, only to gasp when a death beam shot out of the smoke, stabbing right through his chest. Jiaotsu? Yelled Tien in horror at seeing his best friend fall to the ground unmoving. Bastard. Yamcha shouted, charging at Cold, only to gag when Cold fired a death beam through him as well. I'm growing tired of these games. It's time what Cold said before gasping in surprise when Yamcha still managed to gather his remaining strength and lunge forward, wrapping his arms around the Frost Demon. If I'm going down, I'm going to make sure you're joining me. Krillin, Tien. Attack. Yamcha shouted, refusing to die again without doing something. What but Yamcha, Will said Krillin in disbelief, not wanting to attack Cold since they'll hit Yamcha too. Just do it. Said Yamcha, struggling to keep his hold on Cold. We don't have time Krillin, he's giving us a chance. Tien said, gritting his teeth as he quickly flew up and put his hands together, while Krillin gritted his teeth before bringing his hands up and gathering his Kai. Double Tsubikiden. Said Krillin, firing two reddish-orange blasts at Cold just as he threw Yamcha off of him. Insolent humans. Cold said in annoyance, before grunting as Krillin's attack crashed into him. Cold. Say hi to Frieza and Hell. Shin, kick him. Tien said, firing a large yellow beam straight on top of Cold, sending him crashing into the ground. Scattering shot. Krillin said, charging up a sphere of energy and launched it into the air above Cold, before giving a shout as it broke apart into multiple shots that rained down onto the Frost Demon. You think these pitiful attacks will? Said Cold, rushing through the shots, only to be sent back to the ground when Tien blasted him again. Kick him. Kick him. Kick him. Kick him. Kai. KM. HM. Kai. KM. HM. Kai. KM. HM. KIKLHL. Tien said, repeatedly firing multiple yellow blasts at Cold, with each one beginning to form a massive hole in the ground, as he sent Cold deeper and deeper into it. Before Tien began panting, feeling his own life force dwindling with each blast until he couldn't maintain his flight and fell to the ground, with Krillin quickly catching him. You did good, Tien. Now come on, we need to, Krillin said, before his eyes widened when a death beam shot through his chest, sending him and Tien crashing to the ground. Krillin. Gohan screamed in horror, shaking at seeing him, Yamcha and Jiaotsu be killed. And no. Krillin. Tien said through gritted teeth, before crying out when Cold stomped down on his back. You know, I had intended to keep this planet intact after wiping out all life on it, but now you fools have used up the last of my patience. Once I'm through meticulously eliminating every single life, I'm going to reduce this world to nothing but dust. Anything to say to that? Cold said, aiming a finger at Tien, with the martial artist still glaring at him defiantly. I hope you enjoy the trip to hell when the others kill you. Said Tien before gasping as Cold fired a death beam through him. Defiant until the end. Brave, but oh so foolish. Stated Cold, only to hear a rage-filled shout before a fist smashed into his face. Cold. You're going to pay. Goku shouted, angered at seeing 4 of his friends be killed, while Cold looked at him in shock at seeing the Saiyan was still alive. How are you still Ga? Cold said before gagging when Goku slammed his other fist into his stomach, followed by a spin kick to the head. Kamehameha. Said Goku, firing a Kamehameha wave at Cold, engulfing the Frost Demon in the blast with Cold actually crying out as he was hit. Die along with your son. Gallic gun, fire. Vegeta yelled, flying up and firing a Gallic gun at Cold, trapping him in between both attacks, making Cold scream as he could feel that the attacks were actually beginning to injure him. "The only ones dying are you Saiyans," shouted Cold, releasing a blast of power, pushing back the attacks allowing him to break free. Before the former emperor shot into the air, firing a death cannon down at Vegeta only for the Saiyan prince to manage to dodge it. "What's the matter King Cold? Getting tired?" Vegeta said before firing off a stream of Kai bullets at Cold, making the Frost Demon grit his teeth as he blocked the blasts. "You will die screaming," Cold said, flaring his Kai before charging straight towards Vegeta. Only to suddenly have something slam into him, knocking Cold off to the side before he was sent crashing into the ground. "You'll pay for what you've done," Gohan shouted, gritting his teeth in anger at how he's killed 4 of their friends, remembering when Vegeta and Nappa first attacked, then everything that happened on Namek. How he'd been useless to do anything, useless to save anyone, only able to stand around scared while waiting for someone else to save him. "Little brat," said Cold shooting up at Gohan, only to suddenly be blown back from an explosion of power coming off of the half Saiyan. With Gohan screaming in rage and anger as his Kai flickered between blue and gold while his hair began floating into the air. Before the half Saiyan held his hands back and began gathering his power, glaring down at Cold. "Kamehameha." Gohan yelled before firing a Kamehameha wave at the former emperor, just as his hair turned a shining gold and his eyes burned bright turned a rage-filled teal color. The sight shocking the others at seeing Gohan turn Super Saiyan, especially Naruto and Bulla, at how Gohan's now turned Super Saiyan much earlier than he's supposed to. While Cold cried out as the blast smashed into him, sending the Frost Demon crashing into the ground, being pushed further and further as Gohan kept up the attack. Until Cold managed to collect himself, shouting in anger as he fired a death cannon that began pushing back Gohan's Kamehameha. Before Gohan suddenly stopped his attack and got out of the of Cold's death cannon, with Cold then grunting in pain when Goku flew down and slamming his fists down on top of him. "I'm starting to understand. Despite your power eclipsing Frieza's, you're just like your son," Goku said before grabbing Cold and throwing him into the air. "What is that supposed to mean?" demanded Cold, only to grunt in pain when Vegeta shot up, delivering a painful uppercut. The Saiyan Prince followed it by slamming his foot into the side of Cold's head, knocking him off to the side, where Goku flew up waiting for him. "You both rely only on your overwhelming power," said Goku while bringing his clasped hands down on top of Cold's head, sending him straight back to the ground. Lying down after Cold, Goku began rapidly punching the former emperor, with Cold not believing he was being overwhelmed when he had been easily crushing them before. "You have no training, no refinement, no skill. All you do is throw your power around, power without training is useless," Goku said, finishing it with a final punch to Cold's face, launching him to the ground where a large crater formed from the impact. "When you take that away, all you are is just big," said Goku, seeing that like Frieza, Cold was using up too much of his power at once, having no skill or control to only use the necessary amount. "Useless? Useless you insolent Saiyan. I am King Cold, I ruled this universe long before you monkeys even destroyed your Tuffle masters. I will not be insulted by the likes of you," Cold shouted, shooting up to the sky and held his hand up, creating a massive supernova, dwarfing even the one Frieza made. "Now begging with the rest of your kind," said Cold before launching the supernova down at the Z fighters. "Let's give him a taste of his own medicine. Together," Goku said while looking at the others, with them all nodding in agreement before Goku along with Naruto and Gohan got into the same stance. "I take it you know the move," Vegeta said, preparing a Gallic gun, making Bulla smirk and copy his stance. "It's the first one I wanted to learn," said Bulla, making the Saiyan Prince smirk at hearing that. "Kamehameha." Naruto, Gohan and Goku shouted, each of them firing a combined Kamehameha. "Gallic gun, fire," said Bulla and Vegeta, unleashing their own combined Gallic gun. Both attacks collided against the supernova and began pushing it back, much to Cold's shock as he held his hands out to keep it from hitting him. "Hey Cold. Let me show you the power of a real king," Piccolo said, aiming his index and middle finger at the Frost Demon, much to Cold's shock and horror. "Special beam cannon," yelled Piccolo as he fired 2 beams, one straight and another spiraling around the first one, straight at Cold. But the former emperor having no way to dodge or block it while holding the supernova back, before Cold cried out in pain as the special beam cannon impaled and began drilling through his chest, breaking his focus and allowing the supernova to engulf him before it was sent flying into the atmosphere. "And then no. I can't be defeated by the likes of Cold," screamed while feeling his body being vaporizing by the supernova. Before the attack detonated, allowing the others to stop their attacks when they could no longer sense Cold's energy. with Naruto, Bulla, Goku and Gohan falling out of their Super Saiyan forms, panting heavily as the surviving Z fighters fell down in exhaustion and from their injuries as the adrenaline from the fight left them. We're not done yet. We need to, Goku said, knowing they needed to get the Dragon Balls to revive the others, along with getting to the lookout for Senzu beans. Hey guys. Yelled Dend, getting the Z fighters' attention at seeing the young Namekian flying towards them before landing and quickly began healing them. "And what are you doing here?" Gohan asked in surprise, not expecting Dend to show up. "Kami sent me. He saw the fighting happen from the lookout and once he saw you all were going to win, he sent me ahead to heal you once King Cold and Frieza were dealt with," replied Dend, much to their surprise but were glad they didn't have to go anywhere. "You also don't have to worry about your friends, I've already contacted Namek and they're gathering their Dragon Balls as we speak. So they should be coming back any moment now," King Kai said in their minds. With them all looking to Krillin, Tien, Chiaotzu and Yamcha's bodies as they all gasped from being resurrected. "Ugh, I swear I'm never getting used to that. How are you feeling, Chiaotzu?" Tien asked while looking at his friend, glad they're all alive again. "Fine, I'm just glad I didn't try blowing myself up for nothing again," said Chiaotzu, having learned his lesson before, doubting self-destructing would have even scratched Cold if it didn't do anything to Nappa. "You know guys, I'm always happy to help save the planet whenever it's in danger. But if it means dying every time and having to wait to be revived, I think I might start focusing on my baseball career than fighting. A guy can only die so many times before he starts going crazy," Yamcha said, thinking it might be soon for him to retire from martial arts and focus on baseball. "No kidding. I'd prefer finding a real job, preferably one where I don't have to worry about being killed and get paid for it. Not to mention I'm going to be getting married, so I'd rather not take any more risks unless there's no other choice," said Krillin, making the others beside Naruto, Bulla and Gohan look at him in shock. Even Gohan already learned about it when the former monk first called, well for Naruto and Bulla, it was pretty much old news for them. "You're getting married?" Krillin Goku asked in shock that his best friend was getting married. "Yeah, I proposed to Marin and she said yes. That's why I called earlier before Frieza and Cold showed up, I wanted to let you all know when it's happening and that you're invited," replied Krillin, with the Z fighters smiling happily at him. "That's awesome man. I hope you two will be happy together," Yamcha said, patting Krillin on the back. "Agreed, Chiaotzu and I will make sure to be there," said Tien, smiling at the former monk. "Yeah. Though any hint on what you two could want for a wedding gift?" Chiaotzu asked, wanting to make sure to get Krillin and Marin something they'll both love. "Congrats Krillin. If you need any help with anything, I'll be happy to help," said Goku, smiling happily at his friend, glad that he was able to find someone to be with. Piccolo merely nodded in acknowledgement while Vegeta simply grunted before looking at Naruto and Bulla, knowing they could now get some answers. "Thanks guys, Marin and I decided to have the date on our 2-year anniversary," Krillin said, smiling at them in thanks before they all looked at Naruto and Bulla when they coughed to get their attention. "Yeah, sorry to break up the celebration. But you guys might not want to get ahead of yourselves just yet about retiring from fighting," said Bulla, making the Z fighters frown, wondering what she meant by that. "What do you mean?" Goku asked in confusion. "She means that you all need to be ready. Because in 3 years the world is going to be attacked by 4 killer androids," revealed Naruto, much to their shock at what he just said and then realization of just where they came from. "So, what did you think? Good." Yep, we see the Z fighters being shocked at seeing the obviously older Naruto and Bulla, given unlike with Mirai Trunks, Naruto and Bulla are already born, so it's easier to tell who they are, with Goku, Gohan and Vegeta feeling pride at how strong they are, while deciding to let them handle the fight. With Frieza expressing his annoyance at even more Saiyans showing up, while Naruto and Bulla taunt him before taking care of the rest of the soldiers. Leading to them fighting Frieza, showing to be about even, at least until they turn Super Saiyan, triggering Frieza's PTSD as he becomes more sloppy while Naruto and Bulla begin overwhelming him. Until Frieza snaps and tries destroying the planet with a supernova, only for Bulla to cut him apart while Naruto finishes him with a final spirit cannon, reminding Frieza of Bardock and the words he spoke. Next we see them try dealing with Cold, only for him to release his power and transform into his final form, causing the Z fighters to join in, only for Cold to overwhelm them forcing everyone on the defensive. With Krillin, Yamcha, Tien and Chiaotzu being casualties, something that leads to Gohan turning Super Saiyan much earlier. While the remaining Z fighters slowly gain the advantage due to Cold only relying on his overwhelming power rather than having any training or control, just like Frieza. Allowing them to finish Cold off with a combined attack. Finally we see Dend arrive after Kami sent him to heal everyone once the fighting was over, while King Kai contacted the Namekians to gather their Dragon Balls, reviving those that died. with Krillin and Yamcha believing it might be time for them to retire to avoid dying all the time, with Krillin also revealing he's getting married, shocking the Z fighters before they congratulate him. Unfortunately, Naruto and Bullet tell them to put any retirement plans on hold, revealing that in 3 years the Earth will be attacked by 4 killer androids. So, for those that like the story, thanks for your support. For those that don't or at least don't like the direction taken, you're more than welcome to drop the story. But thanks for giving the story a chance anyway. I own nothing. What do you mean by that? What androids? Piccolo asked after snapping out of his shock while looking between the two with a frown. Just that, in 3 years, 4 killer androids will attack. But the danger didn't really start until 6 months before they attacked when Goku died. Bulla revealed, shocking the Z fighters, especially Goku, that he died 6 months before the attack. I died? Questioned Goku, though wasn't really surprised at the fact, given all the enemies they faced before. It's honestly more surprising he's only died once compared to everyone else. Yeah, from a hard virus you contracted from out in space. By the time anyone realized you had it, it was already lethal with not enough time to make a cure. Replied Naruto, with the Z fighters frowning in concern and sadness at learning how Goku dies in the future. Is that why you're here then? So a cure could be made in time? Gohan said, not wanting his father to die like that, given how it'd mean the Dragon Balls couldn't be used to revive him. Part of the reason, but our main goal was to warn you of the threat of the androids, to make sure all of you were prepared for when they arrive. Because it was after Goku died the androids appeared, 3 years from now on Amenbo Island, with all of you going off to fight them. You were the one leading the charge, after you managed to become a Super Saiyan in between Goku's death and their arrival. Said Bulla while looking at her father, with Vegeta grunted and crossed his arms, though felt pleased to know he did become a Super Saiyan. Then these androids should be nothing but scrap metal. Vegeta stated, confident he could handle a few androids even in his base form. They aren't. They killed Piccolo first, which also led to Kami's death, then the rest of you were killed one by one, until only Gohan was left alive. Naruto said, much to their shock, not believing these androids were strong enough to kill Vegeta as a Super Saiyan. I was the only one left. Gohan asked, not believing out of everyone he was the only survivor. Yes, and you became a Super Saiyan too after watching everyone else die, but they still didn't consider you a threat to warrant killing, believing they crushed your spirit with the others dead. Replied Naruto, making Gohan lower his head, clenching his fists that he had been the last Z fighter alive. What about the Dragon Balls? Though? If Kami and Piccolo were killed, wouldn't I have been made the Guardian? I could have made new ones. Said Dend, confused at why his future self wouldn't have made new Dragon Balls to revive everyone. You couldn't. While you did become the Guardian after Kami's death, you also were too afraid to risk making new Dragon Balls on the chance the androids would find them and use them. And trust us, you did the right thing in not making more. Bulla said, knowing the androids were already dangerous enough, but if they got their hands on the Dragon Balls to get any wish they want, it would have been a disaster. After they killed all of you, they began rampaging across all of Earth, destroying cities, towns, any settlements they came across they reduced to ruin, along with wiping out anyone who got in their way. It wasn't long before the only ones left to defend the planet were us, Gohan and Bulla's brother Trunks. Said Naruto, with Vegeta glancing at them at the mention of Bulla having a brother. A brother? Questioned Vegeta, not expecting to have another child so soon after Bulla. Yeah, my little brother Trunks, he was born a couple months before Goku died. Bulla replied, looking away before shaking her head. But it was just the 4 of us left to stand against the androids, with Gohan training us to become strong enough to fight them, as well as to become Super Saiyans like him. That's also how I learned the Gallic gun. Gohan told me it was one of your signature attacks, and I wanted to learn it. I taught it to Trunks once I mastered it. Said Bulla, making the Saiyan prince frown at how she learned it, but did feel pride his daughter was able to recreate his move. Gohan also taught me the Masenko and Kamehameha wave, which I used to make my own attacks and different variations. We trained for years in preparation to face the androids, but said Naruto before stopping and clenching his fists. Something happened, didn't it? Tien stated, being able to guess that they still haven't heard just how bad things had become. Yeah. A battle we had against the androids nearly ended in all of us dying, with Gohan losing an arm in the process. The only reason we survived is thanks to Gohan splitting the last Senzu bean into 3 pieces, healing us enough to get him to our friend Najire to be healed. Said Bulla, shocking them again, with Gohan flinching and unconsciously grabbing his arm. Wait, what about Bulma? Wouldn't you have taken Gohan to her to be healed? Krillin asked, only grow concerned along with the others when Naruto and Bulla both looked away. How do you think I became a Super Saiyan? Questioned Bulla, rhetorically, shocking and horrifying the Z fighters at what it mean for Bulma in the future, with Vegeta silently clenching his fists. Bulma was said Goku, feeling sadness and anger that one of his oldest friends had been killed. She was one of the android's primary targets, given her technological knowledge. It's only thanks to Bulla inheriting that knowledge and affinity for machines that we were even able to come back here. Managing to finish a project she and Bulma had been working on, a time machine so we could go back and prevent what happened. Naruto said while putting a hand on Bulla's shoulder, with the brunette nodding in thanks. I worked around the clock to finish it, only stopping to eat, sleep and train, since we both needed to be at our best when we came here. Added Bulla, knowing she needed to work twice hard after her mother was killed, as they couldn't risk the androids finding out what they were planning. You're a Super Saiyan too, how Gohan asked while looking at his younger brother, being able to guess how he became a Super Saiyan, but didn't want to say it. One of the androids was even more cold-hearted and sadistic than the other three, enjoying the idea of killing innocent people and making others watch as she did so. She attacked Mount Paozu and made me watch when I tried stopping her. I only survived after you arrived and got me out of there, since even as a Super Saiyan I still wasn't strong enough. Said Naruto, with Goku and Gohan feeling devastated that Chi-Chi and Ox King were both killed, along with feeling pure rage at the android did. What about before? After you got Gohan fixed up, what would happen after that? Yamcha asked, gulping at just how bleak their future would have been. There was another attack by the androids, Gohan went alone. We tried going with him, but he knocked us out before we could. And it was 4 against 1, and Gohan only had one arm left. We only got there after they already left. That's what pushed Trunks to become a Super Saiyan, since he always idolized and looked up to Gohan. Replied Naruto, with the Z fighters not sure what to say or think at hearing this. Gohan dying, it's what made us realize we really had no chance of beating the androids in our time, so if we couldn't beat them in the present, we'd make sure they were beaten in the past. But Bulla said, gaining a downcast look. What else happened? Questioned Piccolo, with Bulla turning to her father. Trunks' mom said he got his stubbornness from you, and he wanted to avenge Gohan. By the time Naruto got there, the only thing left were what was left of him was his clothes and the pieces of his sword. It's why I developed my Kai blade attacks, to remember him. Said Bulla while holding up her hand and forming her Kai blade for a moment before dismissing it. So is that everything, or do you have more bad news we should know about? Tien asked while frowning gravely, all of them being relieved when Naruto and Bulla shook their heads. No, that's everything. But we also brought this. Naruto said while pulling out a vial and handing it to Goku, who looked at it closely, seeing a liquid inside. Is this for the virus? Goku asked, relieved that he wouldn't have to worry about dying. Yeah, before she was killed, my mom made it for when the time came for us to come to the past. But don't take it right away, the medicine only works once you start showing symptoms of the virus, chest pains and your energy being much weaker than usual. Once that starts, then take it regularly. You'll also need to rest as the medicine eliminates the virus. Explained Bulla, much to the Z fighters' appreciation. Great, thanks. I'll make sure to have it ready when the time comes. Said Goku while putting the medicine in his pocket, having no intentions of dying this time. Yeah, thanks for telling us all this. Though I really wish for once we could get a break from world-ending threats. Krillin said, groaning at the end, wishing they could get a break for once. No kidding, at this rate I won't even be surprised if we end up having to deal with something else after the androids. Yamcha said in resignation, not wanting what could be worse than the androids, but knew something worse will likely show up. If it's any consolation, King Cold was actually much more powerful than the androids. Unfortunately, all the androids possess infinite energy, so you can't hope to tire them out. Naruto said with Bulla nodding in agreement, neither of them expected Cold to be that strong. That's still something to use. If Cold was stronger than the androids, then we have a goal to work towards. Stated Piccolo, with the rest of the Z fighters nodding since it at least gives them an idea of what to expect and how to surpass the androids. Before Goku and Gohan went up to Naruto, the pure-blooded Saiyan grinning at his future son as he put a hand on his shoulder. I always knew you'd be strong, but you're really great out there, Naruto. The way you handled Frieza and Cold, and you'll only keep getting stronger. Goku said, proud of how strong Naruto's become, only to gain a solemn look. I just wish it didn't mean you had to grow up so fast or losing so many people or having to protect the earth. I'm sorry I wasn't there to help make a difference. Said Goku, wanting both his sons to enjoy life rather than having every day be a fight for survival or for them to suffer as much as they did. Don't be to add, none of us could have known what would happen. What matters now is making sure what happened in our time doesn't happen again. Besides, no matter what, I still had people I cared about and would keep fighting to defend them no matter the odds. That's something you taught me. Naruto said while smiling at Gohan, which he returned only to look down. I should have been the one defending you and the others, instead I failed. I hadn't been strong enough to fight the androids and had leave it to you and Bulla to do it alone. Gohan said, hating how his little brother was forced to fight such dangerous enemies alone, having to watch their mother and grandfather be killed, then losing him and Trunks. Gohan hated himself most of all for not being stronger, that he didn't train harder to face the androids in their time and be better. Gohan, don't beat yourself up. You didn't fail us, you're the one who helped set us on this path, training us and pushing us to be our best. Maybe you weren't around to see it, but you're the reason we've gotten this far and why we'll stop the androids this time," said Naruto before holding out his fist to his brother, surprising Gohan at his words before he smiled and bumped his fist against his. "Then this time, I won't fail and make sure the androids are stopped before they can hurt anyone. I'll protect those I care about no matter what," said Gohan, refusing to ever be helpless or useless again. Even if he doesn't love fighting like other Saiyans do, he's still a Saiyan, and Gohan would make sure to show anyone who dare hurt his family and friends that he's not to be underestimated. He'll use his power to protect everything he cares for. "We both will, Gohan. All of us, as long as we work together, then there's no fight we can't win," Goku stated, putting his hands on his son's shoulders. Meanwhile, Bulla looked at her father hesitantly before approaching him, with Vegeta watching his future daughter critically. It's really great seeing you again, Dad," said Bulla while smiling shyly, not sure what to expect from her father, given what she remembers he was like during this time. "Yes, you've done well, becoming a Super Saiyan at such a young age and being smart enough to create a time machine. And recreating the Gallic gun, it's not an easy move to learn even with instructions, but you succeeded in recreating it on your own. I'm sure in time you'll grow even stronger," Vegeta said, pleased at how skilled and powerful his daughter has become. "Why yeah, thanks. I hope that I will get stronger," said Bulla, wanting to make sure she keeps getting stronger, that she'll always be prepared to take on any enemies that'd threaten the Earth or those she cares about. "Of course you will, you're my daughter after all," stated Vegeta, making Bulla look up before smiling happily at his words. Before Naruto and Bulla stepped back, with the Bluenet pulling out a capsule and pressed the plunger before tossing it as their time machine appeared. With the half Saiyans turning back towards the Z fighters, nodding to them. "We'll be back when the time comes to fight the androids. Until then, make sure you all train as much as you can and be ready for anything," Naruto said, given the changes that have already happened with the fight against Cold, Gohan becoming a Super Saiyan much sooner, they weren't sure what other changes will happen as a result of their presence. "Good luck everyone and see you all soon," said Bulla as they jumped up to their time machine and entered it. "See you guys later then. Take care and be safe," Gohan said while waving to them as the time machine flew up into the air. "And the same goes for you, train as much as you can before you come back," said Goku, waving along with the others, with Naruto and Bulla waving as well until soon the time machine disappeared in a flash of light. Once the time machine vanished, the Z fighters all exchanged looks, knowing that they have 3 years to train and prepare for the androids. Before Vegeta began walking away, getting their attention. "Vegeta, are you heading back to Capsule Corporation?" Goku asked, guessing that's where he's going. "Obviously, Kakarot. The woman needs to know what's happened so she and the old man can work on improving the gravity chamber. These androids are supposed to possess infinite energy, I intend to show them how useless that is against me," said Vegeta before he took off, intending to make sure he becomes a Super Saiyan sooner than he did in the future and grow even stronger to surpass King Cold and utterly crush the androids. "Well, all of you are welcome to train on the lookout, I'm sure Kami's already heard everything and getting things ready for any of you. I'll also be around for any of you that need to be healed," Den said while waving to them before leaving as well. "Thanks Den, we'll be sure to stop by if we need help," replied Gohan, waving to his friend before looking at his father when he put a hand on his shoulder. "We've got a lot of work to do, Gohan, now that you're already a Super Saiyan, we'll really need to step up your training," Goku said with a grin, eager to begin training with his son. "Agreed. If these androids are strong enough to take on a Super Saiyan, then we need to make sure you can fight them evenly even in your base form. If you can do that, then fighting as a Super Saiyan will make you far stronger," added Piccolo, knowing he also needed to really boost his training if these androids can take on Super Saiyans. And if he needed to, then he and Kami may end up having to join together once more to gain the power they need to defeat the androids. "Right. Are you gonna join us, Krillin?" Gohan asked before looking at the monk, wondering if he'll join their training. "Maybe, but I'm gonna be working with Master Roshi and probably on the lookout. But I might join you guys every now and then," said Krillin, wanting to train more with Roshi and on the lookout. "I'm also here to help all of you if you need it," said King Kai, getting everyone's attention. "King Kai, did you hear everything?" Goku asked, glad that King Kai will also help them train. "I did, and from the sound of things, these androids might be as much of a threat as Frieza from how powerful they are. So you all will need to be at your best if you plan on fighting them. Goku, you should also be able to use your instant transmission to come to my planet, that way you all can't train here in person if you need to," King Kai explained, with the Z fighters nodding in thanks. "Right. Thanks King Kai, we'll take all the training we can get. Said Goku, while also thinking of Yardrat and finishing his training with them too. Yen, Chiaotzu, is it alright if I work with you guys? Yamcha asked while looking at the two. Sure, it'll be good to have a sparring partner to improve faster. And with King Kai's help, we'll stand that much better of a chance against the androids. Replied Tien, nodding to the former bandit. Before the remaining Z fighters soon took off in separate directions, all of them making plans for the training they'll do for the next 3 years. Determined to be ready for the androids and ensure that future never comes to pass. So, what did you think? Good. Yep, we see Naruto and Bulla explaining how Goku died of a heart virus 6 months before the androids attacked, with the rest of the Z fighters being killed one by one until only Gohan was left. With the Dragon Balls being rendered inert after Piccolo and Kami, with future Den being too afraid to make more, not wanting the androids to get their hands on them. Leading to the androids unleashing death and destruction across the earth, with Naruto, Bulla, Gohan and Trunks as the only defenders left. Only for them to still not stand a chance against the androids, while revealing how they became Super Saiyans. With Chi-Chi, Ox King and Bulma all being killed, pushing Naruto and Bulla to transform, while Gohan's death pushing Trunks. Unfortunately it's still not enough as Trunks dies as well in an attempt to avenge Gohan, leaving only Naruto, Bulla and their friend Najire. Until Bulla manages to complete the time machine so they can travel to the past to prevent the androids from attacking. Finally we see some moments between Naruto and Bulla with their families before they travel back to the future, promising to come back to help them fight the androids. While the Z fighters go off to train in preparation for the androids. So, for those that like the story, thanks for your support. For those that don't or at least don't like the direction taken, you're more than welcome to drop the story. But thanks for giving the story a chance anyway. What if Naruto collects 7 Dragon Ball, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.